You practice immortality. I cultivate the land. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 576, Secret Earth Beads of the Sea of Thunder. Deo Iaulu, please have some tea. After solving the abnormal problem of the 4th grade confusing Yinwood, the two came to a spacious courtyard, and the one-eyed middle-aged man brought a cup of steaming spiritual tea. Deo Iao is new to Thunderfire Starcave. If there is anything you are not familiar with, feel free to ask me, Luoming said in a rough voice. After Lu Xuan helped him solve the abnormality of his spiritual plant, he was very grateful in his heart, and the distance between the two will shorten a lot. Nothing else, but if Deo Iao has news about high-level spiritual seeds, it would be best if you could tell me, Lu Xuan said with a smile, always remembering to get high-level spiritual seeds. High-level spiritual seeds? Aren't there ready-made ones in the Star Cave? The one-eyed middle-aged man looked puzzled. Oh. What do you mean? There are high-level spirit seeds in the Sea of Thunder. That Sea of Thunder is the core of the Thunder Mars Cave, so it is naturally not as simple as it seems. High-level spirit seeds, especially those of the 5th grade and above, are often nurtured by heaven and earth. That Sea of Thunder is such a strange place. It not only contains various spiritual thunders, yin thunders, divine thunders, etc., but also contains many high-level spirit seeds of thunder. It is said that many years ago, a cultivator who had completed the foundation building obtained a 6th grade spirit seed from it and sold it to the Halao Chamber of Commerce in exchange for a large number of rare cultivation resources. At this point, Luoming's only remaining eye showed envy. That is really a great blessing, Lu Xuan said enviously. Although he could also obtain a 6th grade treasure from the light ball, it did not prevent him from envying others for such a great opportunity. The two sighed and wished they could replace the casual cultivator who had completed the foundation building and experience the feeling of being hit by a great blessing. By the way, fellow Daoist Luo, you have lived in Xiangxing Cave for many years. Have you heard about the Yuanxi Spiritual Mountain and the Spiritual Mine? Yuanxi treasure? Fellow Daoist Lu wants to. I want to forge a high-level flying sword as a self-defense treasure, but unfortunately I still lack a piece of Yuanxi Spiritual Mine. I have searched for a long time, but still found nothing. Lu Xuan made up a lie. He naturally would not honestly say that he was cultivating the 6th grade Yuanxi spiritual wood. I see. However, Yuanxi treasures are extremely rare in the cultivation world. They are basically controlled by those big sects and big forces. Fellow Daoist Lu can pay attention to the annual auction of the Halao Chamber of Commerce. There may be treasures or news related to Yuanxi. The one-eyed middle-aged man said slowly. Thank you, fellow Daoist. Lu Xuan nodded, stood up and clasped his fists. It's getting late. I won't stay any longer. Goodbye. I'm sorry. Fellow Daoist Lu, if there is a chance next time, let's explore the depths of the Thunder Sea together. Luoming sent Lu Xuan outside the cave and said, of course. Lu Xuan said perfunctorily and returned to the cave. According to what Luoming said, there should be a lot of good things in the Thunder Sea, and perhaps we can find high-level Thunder Spirit seeds. It's a pity that I don't have absolute confidence that I can get out of it unscathed after entering it. He sat in the yard, looking at the many spiritual plants growing vigorously below, thinking secretly. Although he had a lot of 5th grade or even 6th grade treasures in his hands, there must be many Chinden Zenran among the cultivators who entered the depths of the Thunder Sea. He didn't have the confidence to deal with them easily. When my cultivation level is improved a little bit, and there are a little more treasures, I will go into the depths of the Thunder Sea to take a look. High-level Thunder Spirit seeds are still quite tempting to him. Lu Xuan made a decision in his heart. The next morning, he continued to process the spirit fruits and prepared to brew the 100 fruit spirit juice and jade wash spirit dew. When it was almost done, he came to the spirit field, breathing in the faint white mist that had not yet completely dissipated, and checked all the spirit plants in the spirit field one by one. Well, the last dragon skeleton grass is almost ripe. He looked at the dragon skeleton grass swimming in the deep well water and found that the translucent progress bar below was about to be filled. Arrow vine. Kangilan grass. Thousand Kyang hand. Almost all of them are ripe. Hey, there is another one that has already matured. A smile appeared on Lu Xuan's face, looking at the 4th grade Earth Emperor date in front of him, whose progress bar had been completely filled. Among the dark yellow branches and leaves, there are 10 spiritual dates half hidden and half hidden, looming, and each spiritual date is surrounded by a light yellow spiritual energy. Lu Xuan reached out and picked a bright yellow spiritual date, and a thought emerged in his mind. Earth Emperor date, a 4th grade spiritual plant, is cultivated with pure earth-based spiritual power and spiritual soil. The spiritual fruit has a wide range of uses. It can be used to assist cultivators in practicing earth-based skills and magical powers, refining corresponding special high-grade elixirs, and can also be used to raise certain types of spiritual beasts. It would be a waste to eat it directly. I will try the taste of the spiritual dates after a few more mature ones are harvested. He decided to store the 4th grade spiritual dates first and see how to deal with them later. After the spiritual dates were picked, a white ball of light quietly appeared at the location. The light ball flickered slightly, as if tempting Lu Xuan to touch it. Lu Xuan naturally couldn't resist the temptation of the light ball, and his fingers gently reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball. In an instant, the light ball silently shattered, like a firework explosion, turning into countless tiny light points, pouring into his body. Or thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 4th grade Earth Emperor date, and obtain the 4th grade treasure Earth bead. The thought disappeared, and a yellow Earth spiritual bead appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. The yellow Earth spiritual bead was grey inside, as if it was swept by yellow sand. Holding it in the hand, there was a sense of falling, as if it was about to merge with the ground. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on the yellow Earth spiritual bead, and he immediately learned detailed information about it. Earth walking bead, a 4th grade treasure, comes with the earth walking technique. The holder of the spirit bead can freely shuttle between various spirit mines and rocks at high speed, without being restricted by terrain. If you stay in the spirit mines and rocks for a long time, your body may be invaded by the earth's energy and gradually petrified. The 4th grade treasure earth walking bead has a similar effect to the water walking bead, but it is obviously stronger than the water walking bead. After all, the resistance and obstacles encountered in the soil are much greater than in the water. What's more, this earth walking bead also comes with the earth walking technique. Not only can it move freely in the rocky soil, but the speed is not affected much. It is worthy of its name as a 4th grade treasure. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. This Earth Emperor Jujube spirit plant produced 10 spirit dates, one of which produced a 4th grade treasure, which did not disappoint him. He did not have time to try the effect of the earth walking bead, and continued to examine the remaining 9 bright yellow spirit dates. Although the progress bar below the spiritual dates is not much different, even a slight difference may make a difference in a period of time. He currently has no spiritual grass beads in his hand, so he is not in a hurry to ripen them and let them grow freely. After checking the remaining spiritual dates one by one, Lu Xuan found another one that was fully ripe. He carefully picked the spiritual date. Well, it seems to be of good quality. This spiritual date gave him an unexpected surprise. Chapter 577 Can Earth Puppet Spirit. It is normal for the spiritual fruits produced on the same spiritual plant to have slight differences in quality. After all, there are many factors that affect the quality of spiritual fruits. Lu Xuan can only do his best. What spiritual fruits can be produced depends on the spiritual plant itself. For him, the higher the quality of the spiritual fruit, the better it is. That means the rewards in the light ball may also be more generous. After the spiritual date was picked, a white light ball quietly emerged at the location where it grew, flickering slightly. Lu Xuan reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball. The light ball exploded silently, and countless tiny light points condensed into a white illusory human figure, which instantly sank into Lu Xuan's fingertips. Or thought flashed through his sea of consciousness. Harvest a 4th grade Earth Emperor date, and obtain the 5th grade treasure Kuntuji Uijing. Incomplete. Kuntuji Uijing, or incomplete. Lu Xuan was surprised when a ball of yellow mud appeared in front of him. The yellow mud looked extremely inconspicuous, but it exuded a strong earth spirit aura. It kept changing its shape in front of Lu Xuan. It was always an incomplete human figure with most of its limbs missing. The incomplete human figure seemed unable to support its current form, and soon turned into a ball of uneven yellow mud. Lu Xuan was a little curious, and focused on the strange yellow mud in front of him. Suddenly, the information about this incomplete Kuntu puppet appeared in his mind. Kuntu puppet, 1/5, a part of the spirit puppet made of Kuntu, contains pure earth spirit aura, and after being collected, it can form a complete Kuntu spirit puppet, which has a strong protective effect. Hey, another synthetic treasure, it's rare. Lu Xuan couldn't help laughing, looking at the yellow mud in his hand, thinking in his heart. His thoughts were pulled back to the Lanyang market period. At that time, he obtained the first synthetic magic weapon, the silver blade, from a first grade eclipse moon fruit. It took a long time to collect it successfully. He remembered that the magic weapon was very cool, but unfortunately the grade was too low, and it had been placed in the corner of the storage bag for many years. Isn't it just to synthesize a Kuntu spirit puppet? I need a total of 5 Kuntu puppet essences and 8 Earth Emperor dates. 4 out of 8, half the chance, it's a sure thing. Lu Xuan thought to himself. A few days later, he came to the Earth Emperor dates again, and found 2 fully mature spirit dates. Let's do a Kuntu puppet essence combo. After picking 2 spirit dates, he whispered a prayer to the 2 white light balls that quietly emerged on the plant. He stretched out his hand and gently brushed the surface of the light balls. The 2 light balls exploded almost at the same time, turning into countless tiny light points that poured into Lu Xuan's body. Harvest a 4th grade Earth Emperor date, and obtain a 4th grade elixir to Yuandan. Right square bracket asterisk to the thought flashed through his mind, and 2 round deep yellow pills appeared in Lu Xuan's hands. The pills were round and full, with many elixir patterns on the surface, like mountains connected together, and pale yellow spiritual light emerged, emitting a strong earth spirit aura. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on the pills, and he instantly learned the detailed information about the 4th grade Tu Yuandan. Tu Yuandan, a 4th grade elixir, contains rich earth-based spiritual power. After taking it, it can enhance the earth-based spiritual power in the body and speed up the practice of earth-based skills and magical powers. It doesn't have much effect in most eyes, but in the eyes of practicing certain special skills, the effect may be no less than that of a 5th grade treasure. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. There are still 6 spiritual dates. Well, it's not a big problem. He thought optimistically in his heart, and had sufficient confidence in the light ball. In the next few days, 2 more Earth Emperor dates matured one after another. The rewards from the 2 white light balls were pretty good, a 4th grade treasure earth bead, and a 4th grade elixir to Yuandan. Unfortunately, neither of them was a Kuntu puppet essence that Lu Xuan urgently needed. There are still the last 4 consecutive draws. Lu Xuan looked at the 4 spiritual dates on the spiritual plant with slightly different progress bars, and gritted his teeth. The light green light ball in the danshan rotated slightly, and a trace of greenwood source energy flowed out from his fingertips. Let's ripen them all, and know the result sooner. He was like a gambler at the gambling table, thinking only of making a quick comeback, and didn't care about the little King Mu Yuan key left. He put the 4 spiritual dates into the storage bag, and lightly tapped the surface of the light spots with one hand. Countless tiny light spots condensed into 4 strange light rivers, like a part of the body, and merged into Lu Xuan's limbs. Hit me. 4 thoughts emerged in his mind almost at the same time. Harvest a 4th grade Earth Emperor date, and obtain the 5th grade treasure Kuntu Guijing. Incomplete. Right square bracket asterisk for the information represented by the 4 thoughts was exactly the same, and at first glance, it seemed to be merged into one. After the thought flashed through his mind, 4 balls of yellow mud appeared in front of Lu Xuan. The yellow mud kept changing and combining into various strange shapes. Lu Xuan took out the first ball of incomplete Kuntu Guijing that he had obtained earlier, and put it together with the other 4 balls. In an instant, the 5 pieces of Kuntu Guijing seemed to have a special induction with each other, slowly crawling towards each other, and finally merged into one, without distinction between you and me. A small earthy yellow puppet appeared in front of Lu Xuan. The puppet was lifelike and vivid, and seemed to have a simple spirituality. Lu Xuan's mind was focused on this small earthy yellow puppet, and he immediately learned detailed information about it. Kuntu spirit puppet, a 5th grade treasure, is made of Kuntu puppet essence made of Kuntu, with a large amount of pure earth spiritual power. After the sacrifice, it can protect the holder. When the holder encounters a fatal attack, the Kuntu spirit puppet will quickly change into a huge earth puppet, protecting its body and preventing the holder from being hurt. Kuntu spirit puppet has a strong protective ability and can withstand most attacks of 5th grade magic weapons. The specific form can change with the holder's mind. A 5th grade puppet that can be pinched at will. Lu Xuan's heart was filled with strong curiosity. A drop of blood essence flowed out of his left index finger and merged into the body of the small earthy yellow puppet. After the spiritual consciousness was sacrificed, he seemed to feel that there was a trace of induction between himself and this little puppet. With a thought, the earth puppet in front of him changed slightly. One side of his shoulder was slightly raised and kept shaking. There were long and thin strands of hair on his head, combed into a middle part. There were traces of loose straps on his back, which made him look a bit handsome in his laziness. Kuntu puppet spirit. In short, it is Kun spirit. You will use this form in the future. If I encounter any danger, you, the best Kun, will protect me. Lu Xuan looked at the small earth yellow puppet in the form of an old friend in his hand and sighed secretly. After getting this Kuntu spirit puppet, my defense power increased greatly. When I encountered any danger before, I either used King Fulu and Unshu to escape as soon as possible, or I relied on a strong body to resist. The protection of King Yu focuses on the soul. I have never had a powerful treasure that can protect the body. Now, this Kuntu spirit puppet makes up for this very well, and it has greatly improved my defense power. He looked at the small earth yellow spirit puppet in his hand and couldn't let it go. After the spirit puppet was sacrificed, it seemed to be in tune with Lu Xuan's mind. His shoulders kept shaking and his hair was flying. Chapter 578. Losing sight of one thing while focusing on another. 10 4th grade earthly emperor dates. I can take a few to feed those earth type spirit beasts. Lu Xuan thought, after picking all the earthly emperor dates. With a thought, the rock turtle, which had grown into a dark blue hill, crawled out of the small lake, with black mud splashing all over its back, and pounced on Lu Xuan. Stop, stop, stop. Lu Xuan supported the head of the rock turtle with one hand, to stop it from rubbing against him. Here's something good for you. He took out a earthly emperor date, and threw it to the rock turtle. The rock turtle looked bloated and heavy, but its movements were very agile. Its head stretched out like lightning, grabbed the earthly emperor date, and swallowed it whole in a few gulps. Roar. It roared, and a deep yellow spiritual light appeared in its body. In Lu Xuan's spiritual sense, the dark blue rock on the rock turtle's shell became harder and tighter, as if it had merged with it. After the rock turtle jumped back to the small lake, Lu Xuan summoned 2 two-headed armadillos. The soil under his feet felt loose, and 2 two-headed armadillos poked out their pointed heads. 4 pairs of grey eyes staring at Lu Xuan motionlessly. It's not a good idea to stay underground all the time. We have to go out and walk more often. Lu Xuan took out 2 earth emperor dates and fed one to each of the 2 two-headed armadillos. He suddenly felt something was wrong. After feeding the earth emperor dates, the head that tasted the earth emperor dates looked very satisfied, while the other side looked at Lu Xuan eagerly, with light yellow mucus secreted from the corner of its mouth. I forgot there were 2 heads. Lu Xuan shook his head and smiled, then took out 2 more earth emperor dates, and fed them to the 2 heads that had not tasted them before. The head that ate the earth emperor dates first looked at itself who was tasting the spiritual fruit next to it, turned its head, and also looked at Lu Xuan eagerly. It's a loophole, right? Lu Xuan held his forehead and sighed, only hating that he didn't keep the bowl of water evenly, and should have fed the 2 heads with the same size of spiritual fruit at the same time. There are no more spiritual fruits. Go back to the cave. He waved at the 2 two-headed armadillos. The 2-headed armadillos reluctantly got into the spiritual soil. Before leaving, they did not forget to rub a handful of wuling soil with their claws. Tender Xuan dates. Only 5 were left in a blink of an eye. Lu Xuan put them away and kept them for the time being. The time spent farming in the cave passed very quickly. In a blink of an eye, another half month passed. During this period, Lu Xuan stayed in the cave and did not go out. He devoted himself to cultivating spiritual plants. Lihuaxing cave is not like Xianjian sect. Xianjian sect has many brothers and sisters who know each other, and occasionally they will get together. In Lihuaxing cave, there are only a few people who know each other. They are all nodding acquaintances. There is a certain distance between each other, so I have always been alone. However, Lu Xuan has long been accustomed to this simple and fulfilling farming life. As long as you can harvest the light ball, there will be endless fun. There are a new batch of spiritual plants in the spiritual field. In the Kangyuan grass area, 30 plants came from the Dan Palace, and 3 were obtained from the Sinan Palace Sword Seal. Among them, several plants were already fully mature. Lu Xuan carefully examined each Kangyuan grass, selected more than 10 plants that were about to mature, and used King Mu Yuan Qi to ripen them. He gradually developed a habit of continuously drawing light balls for awards. He drew 10 or even 100 light balls of lower grade spiritual plants at a time, to experience the feeling of continuous rewards. In addition to the 10 plants used for seed formation, the remaining 23 plants were all mature. Lu Xuan carefully dug these ordinary spiritual plants like weeds out of the spiritual soil and put them into the jade box. 23 white light balls quietly emerged on the surface of the spiritual field, flickering slightly and shining against each other. Lu Xuan's figure passed by like a stream of light, and in an instant he gently touched the surface of all the light balls. The light balls exploded silently, turning into rivers of light and pouring into his body. Thoughts flashed through his mind like a horse-drawn lantern. Harvest a 3rd grade Kangyuan grass and obtain a 3rd grade foundation building pill. Harvest a 3rd grade Kangyuan grass and obtain a 3rd grade treasure nailing grass bead. Harvest. One reward after another appeared in front of Lu Xuan in the form of a physical object, or poured into his sea of consciousness in the form of information. For a moment, precious light shone in front of him, and countless knowledge gathered in his mind. It seemed that in just a few breaths, he repeated the experience of alchemy countless times, and he was familiar with the refining of foundation building pills, and had a more thorough and clear understanding of the insights. 5 foundation building pill recipe experience packs. I have made further progress on the original small level alchemy level. It is estimated that, if I absorb a few more, I will reach the great level. Lu Xuan sighed in his heart. In addition, 10 3rd grade foundation building pills and 8 3rd grade nailing grass beads were opened in the light ball. Although the foundation building pills flowing out of Liang are more than those in Xianjian sect, no matter where they are, foundation building pills are not ordinary 3rd grade pills, and their value is precious. When he entered the Halao Chamber of Commerce branch of Zixing Tower earlier, he took the opportunity to learn about the situation of foundation building pills, and the price was much higher than that of ordinary 3rd grade pills. 8 soul gathering grass beads are a good supplement. Soul gathering grass beads can be used to feed grass puppets, replenish King Mu Yuan Qi, and ripen spiritual plants in the later stages of growth at critical moments. They are extremely practical. When Lu Xuan left Xianjian sect and went to Black Star City, he used them to ripen several spiritual plants and obtained rare treasures such as the Peacock King Sword and the 9-headed dragon map. The remaining 10 soul gathering grasses will be used to condense seeds. When he exchanged soul gathering grass seeds in Sinan Hall, the sect had a limit on the number of soul gathering grass seeds in order to prevent disciples from refining foundation building pills without authorization. Lu Xuan only exchanged 3. Unexpectedly, a sudden change occurred, and the 30 plants entrusted to him by the Dan Hall were transferred to his hands, so he could obtain a large number of soul gathering grass seeds in a short period of time. I spent most of my spiritual stones when I rented this Thunderfire cave, and I only have a lot of treasures that are hard to cash in. I can use the foundation building pill and dust purifying pill to accumulate spiritual stones in the future. With the existence of the pill formula experience package, he surpassed the experience of many alchemists and achieved a level of alchemy that they may not be able to achieve in their entire lives. Once you have mastered a certain kind of elixir, you can make a profit from it. Lu Xuan has already reached the level of minor success or even master in several kinds of elixirs. The success rate of alchemy is terrifyingly high, and there is no need to worry about the source of spiritual stones. In addition to being an ordinary spiritual plant master, I have unknowingly become a sword genius and a master of alchemy. Lu Xuan's mouth corners rose, and he continued to check the situation of the many spiritual plants in the spiritual field. In the underworld area, as soon as the illusionary 5-element formation was opened, a gust of cold wind blew in, whistling in the formation. Lu Xuan was afraid that the yin energy would escape and affect the spiritual plants in other spiritual fields, so he had been using the formation to seal this spiritual field. Entering the formation, a huge red meat ball came bouncing in front of Lu Xuan, its thin skin and flesh swaying like seaweed, revealing a tight little mouth inside. Lu Xuan quickly took out a large piece of stored monster meat from the gluttonous insect sack and threw it to the meat spirit god. Chapter 579 Ancient Medicine Garden. There was a light bang. A large piece of monster meat shattered into a puff of blood mist in the air and flew into the mouth of the flesh spirit god. Lu Xuan comforted this juvenile disaster level evil spirit and concentrated his mind on its body. He did not find anything abnormal, so he went to check the other spiritual plants with peace of mind. When he came to the depths of the spiritual field, he suddenly heard a movement at his feet. He looked down and saw a bloody palm rubbing his trouser legs. His spiritual power surged, and the slightly surging blood in his body calmed down immediately. This extremely bloodthirsty 4th grade blood spirit palm ginseng, which had just been suppressed by the rank of the flesh spirit god, did not dare to approach Lu Xuan. Now, after the flesh spirit god left, it immediately smelled Lu Xuan's blood and came closer. Lu Xuan took out a bottle of dragon blood from the storage bag and poured it on the bloody palm. He watched the cracks on the palm keep wriggling and absorbed the blood instantly. When I examined the dragon cubs in Qian Long Lake, I extracted thousands of bottles of blood essence. I can't use it all. I can't use it all. Without the blood flower, a big blood sucker, Lu Xuan had an absurd feeling that the more he used the blood essence of the monsters on his body, the more blood essence he had. He focused his mind on the blood-colored palm and found that the translucent progress bar below was about to be filled. He was not eager for the light ball reward now, so he let the spiritual plant mature naturally and save some King Mu Yuan Qi. In the underworld area, the 3rd grade Qian Qiu hand also entered the maturity stage. The 4th grade blood spirit palm ginseng was planted earlier, and the dragon blood vessels have been sufficient for a long time, and the growth conditions are better. Therefore, although it is 1 grade higher than the Qian Qiu hand, it is estimated that the maturity time of the two will not be much different. The 18 Qian Qiu hands are integrated into one, and there is a vague sense of formation. Lu Xuan also accidentally noticed that the progress bar below each Qian Qiu hand is exactly the same, which is probably related to the characteristics of the spiritual plant. He took out a large amount of monster flesh and blood, ghosts, and resentments from the gluttonous insect sack, and cultivated many evil spiritual plants. Among the high-level spiritual plants, the 5th grade evil fruit, the 6th grade magnetic spiritual wood, and the fangbone demon species have not yet reached the cultivation conditions. I have to find a way to collect the strange things they need, cultivate them as soon as possible, and harvest the light ball as soon as possible. He thought secretly in his heart. When he returned to the yard and was about to continue brewing spiritual juice and spiritual dew, Lu Xuan noticed that a talisman flew outside the cave. With a move of spiritual consciousness, he attracted the communication talisman. After inputting a trace of spiritual power, a familiar voice came from inside. It was the one-eyed middle-aged man Liu Oming. Dao Lu, I haven't contacted you for a long time. Is everything going well? I and several other Daoists are planning to go to the depths of the Thunder Sea in the near future to explore a hidden secret realm. It is said that there was an ancient cultivator's medicine garden there, and some cultivators have obtained high-level spiritual seeds from it. I wonder if Dao Lu is interested in exploring it together. In addition to me, there is Dao Zheng, who I met before, and 2 other people. We trust each other. If Dao is interested, please let me know. Ancient cultivator's medicine garden in the depths of the Thunder Sea. Lu Xuan was a little moved when he heard this. If what Liu Oming said is true, then there is a high possibility that there are high-level magical spiritual seeds in such secret realms. For him, a spiritual plant master, it is very attractive. He has been in the Thunder Mars cave for less than a year and has only met the one-eyed middle-aged man a few times. His trust in him is limited, and he can only be regarded as friendly. Even in front of the same clan, there will be things like killing and stealing treasures, so this insignificant trust is better than nothing. However, with many 5th grade or even 6th grade treasures, a strong body, and no fear of the soul, he is far stronger than ordinary foundation building cultivators in attack, defense, and escape, so Lu Xuan has full confidence in himself. According to Luoming, the location of the ancient medicine garden is hidden, and we can find it with the help of their experience. Lu Xuan has made a decision in his heart. When was the last time I explored a secret realm with a strange cultivator? He showed a trace of reminiscence. It seems that I was still in the key training stage. I was half invited and half forced by the Xuan family of Lanyang Market to enter the secret realm near the market. Strictly speaking, this should be the first time I took the initiative to explore a secret realm with a strange cultivator. A newbie entering a secret realm for the first time. I wonder if there is anything I need to pay attention to. Lu Xuan raised the corner of his mouth and typed a word into the communication talisman, expressing his gratitude to Luoming and his willingness to explore the secret realm of the Thunder Sea together. 3 days passed in a flash. Lu Xuan brought along the cloud stepping lynx and the demonic ghost vine, one of which could detect evil spirits and the other of which could sense spiritual seeds. As for the cave, there was a 5th grade illusionary 5-element formation, a grass puppet that controlled the arrow vine, and other spiritual beasts. His safety was guaranteed, and he could leave for a while without worry. After a while, he arrived at Luoming's cave. Haha, Daoist fellow Lu has arrived as promised. Our chances of getting a chance have increased a lot. Luoming laughed heartily, flew out of the cave to greet Lu Xuan. Behind him, there were 3 other people. One was Lei Zeng, who had completed his foundation building, and the other 2 were a tall and steady young man with a late foundation building cultivation, and a white-haired old woman with a perfect foundation building cultivation. Let me introduce you to each other. Daoist fellow Lei Zeng, you have already met. Lei Zeng nodded at Lu Xuan. Fellow Daoist Wang Yanzhang has cultivated the art of thunder body refining. His physique is strong, and he is not afraid of 4th grade magic weapons. The one-eyed middle-aged man pointed at the tall young man. The young man's tall body was occasionally filled with lightning. His eyes were sharp and had vertical pupils, which made people feel slightly numb when they looked at him. Fellow Daoist Yuan Shuangling, you have the highest cultivation among us. You have completed your foundation building and are only a step away from the Dan formation realm. You have many treasures on you. He continued to introduce the white-haired old woman to Lu Xuan. The old woman was leaning on a dragon-headed cane, smiling slightly, and nodded to Lu Xuan. Fellow Daoist Lu Xuan, you are powerful and have extraordinary attainments in spiritual plants. The one-eyed middle-aged man introduced Lu Xuan to the white-haired old woman and the tall young man. Spiritual plant master? The young man named Wang Yanzhang asked. Yes, I like to plant flowers and plants the most on weekdays, Lu Xuan said with a smile. Fellow Daoist Luo, that ancient medicine garden is extremely dangerous. Why did you call a spiritual plant master in the late stage of foundation building here? Let me make it clear first. If he lags behind in any way, the treasures he gets will be reduced by 10%. The young man frowned and said with a bit of displeasure. What are you talking about, fellow Daoist Wang? It's too realistic to deny others just because of their identity as spiritual plant masters. Luoming heard this and said coldly. It was he who suggested inviting Lu Xuan here, but he didn't expect that he would be directly denied by a fellow cultivator after meeting him. It was tantamount to slapping him in the face. The reality is that there are very few spiritual plant masters with outstanding strength. It takes a long period of time to cultivate spiritual plants. If the number of plants is too large, how can there be time to practice and hone their skills? The young man said expressionlessly. Whether it works or not, it still depends on strength. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 580, Good People. Okay. Lei Zeng, who had been silent on the side, stepped forward, his expression intimidating without anger. Since we have already agreed to explore the ancient medicine garden on Lihei, it is meaningless to argue about these things now. We haven't even set out yet, and we are already feeling resentful of each other. It would be better to act alone. He paused and continued, it is said that the hidden secret place is an ancient medicine garden. It is necessary to invite fellow Daoist Lu, who is a spiritual plant master. He is an indispensable person in identifying spiritual plants and finding spiritual medicines. So, what else is the problem? Lei Daoist is right. I was reckless and shouldn't have doubted the role of fellow Daoist Lu among us. Upon hearing this, the tall Wang Yanzhang admitted his fault straightforwardly. This small storm quickly disappeared without a trace. Lu Xuan had a calm look and a calm expression and seemed to not care about Wang Yanzhang's doubts at all. As for whether a few people thought he was confident or retreating, it had nothing to do with him. The 5 people each controlled their flying swords and found the passage opened by Xiangxing Cave at the edge of the Sea of Thunder. With the Thunder Fire Order in their hands, they entered the Sea of Thunder. In the Sea of Thunder, there were lightning rays everywhere, and the density was many times greater than outside. Out of caution, the 5 people landed one after another, and walked quickly in the passage they had opened. After a while, Lu Xuan found the Thunder Beast squatting beside the passage not far away. Dao Lu, don't pay attention to it. The monster will not attack us actively, but there is no need to feed it. Its appetite has been fed by many monks passing by, and it doesn't even look down on ordinary low-grade monster meat. The one-eyed middle-aged man suggested. Looking at its well-behaved appearance, I thought of the several spirit beasts raised in the cave, and I couldn't help but want to feed it something. Lu Xuan threw a few flaming fruits and ice radish fruits over. The huge thunder beast looked round, but its movements were extremely agile. It turned into a silver-white stream of light and instantly grabbed a few spirit fruits. Huh. You brought out another of your kind? When Lu Xuan was about to leave, he noticed that there was a smaller monster behind the thunder beast. The monster's body looked much smoother, lightning flashed, and its eyes were sharp. Compared with its predecessor, its expression was a bit more vigilant. Hey, let the old teach the new. Lu Xuan couldn't help laughing, and threw a few spiritual fruits to it. After the little thunder beast swallowed the spiritual fruit, he subconsciously focused his mind on its body. A thought emerged from his mind. Alien thunder beast, a 4th grade monster, has part of the bloodline of the ancient beast Thunder Sea, has great potential, is good at various thunder related magic, and is proficient in thunder escape. An alien Lexi beast. If I remember correctly, the fat Lexi beast had only a trace of Lexi blood in its body, which was extremely thin, but the blood in this alien Lexi beast has been partially upgraded. I wonder if it is an abnormal awakening, or is there an ancient Lexi beast in the depths of the Thunder Sea that is constantly sowing seeds? Whatever it is, it means that the newly appeared Lexi beast is extraordinary. Lu Xuan slowed down his pace, and his spiritual power carried a fairy peach to the little Lexi beast. Lexi beast smelled the fairy peach, and a look of intoxication appeared in his eyes. He couldn't help swallowing his saliva and bit it. It was plump and juicy, fresh and fragrant, and a slight trembling feeling spread throughout his body, as if he was enjoying the ultimate pleasure. The Thunder Sea is desolate and spiritual plants are rare. How could this Lexi beast have eaten such a spiritual fruit as the fairy peach? For a moment, he looked at Lu Xuan with a friendly look in his eyes. This moment is just like that moment. Seeing the familiar scene in front of him, Lu Xuan remembered the white jade sky supporting ape and the black sky loon bird that he had fed since its infancy, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Dao Iolu is willing to give this monster a 3rd grade spiritual fruit? Luoming noticed this scene, and said in surprise, that Thunder Beast has been guarding the passage, and asking for monster meat from the passing cultivators. At first, it was a novelty, but over time, fewer cultivators paid attention to it. It is even rarer to feed a 3rd grade spiritual fruit like Dao Iolu. I saw that the new Thunder Beast was too thin, so I was soft-hearted, and wanted to feed it a better spiritual fruit. Anyway, I'm a spiritual plant master, and I don't have much else, but I still have enough spiritual fruits. Lu Xuan explained with a smile. Deo Iaolu is really kind. Haha, Deo Iao, you are too kind. Lu Xuan smiled. The 5 people continued to go deeper. The deeper they went into the sea of thunder, the more intense and violent the lightning rays they encountered. If it weren't for the thunder and fire order to dispel it, they would probably be trapped in the thunder. There were bursts of thunder in their ears, some of which were generated by the sea of thunder and some were roaring by thunder beasts. It's almost here. Along the way, the 5 people did not encounter any dangerous situations. Only a few blind thunder beasts wanted to attack by surprise, but they were killed by the 5 people in a few breaths. Half a day later, Lu Xuan and others came to a thunder waterfall. Countless thunders poured down, as if a heavenly calamity had come. When the spiritual consciousness probed into it, it seemed to be split into pieces, and had to retreat. This thunder waterfall is too wide. Under such an attack, the thunder and fire order will definitely not be able to hold on for long. Is it necessary to rely on the physical body and magic tools to resist it? Wang Yanzhan frowned. Although his physical body was strong, he did not have absolute confidence to pass through this thunder waterfall intact. Is there any way to get around it? No, the entrance is right behind here. There is no way to get in from other places. There are extremely hard rocks everywhere, and there are powerful restrictions. The one-eyed middle-aged man said in a rough voice. As for the way to get in, when you come here, you will naturally have a way to deal with it. Fellow Daoistuan, I'll leave it to you next. He turned his head and looked at the white-haired old woman. Yuan Shuangling nodded slightly and slammed the dragon head cane in his hand on the ground. A flash of light flashed, and 5 lightning nets floated out of the dragon head. The lightning nets kept changing, as if they formed clothes woven with fine lightning. The clothes floated in the low sky, as light as nothing, and the strands of lightning jumped around and returned to the clothes. Fellow Daoists, this lightning thread clothes itself has a strong resistance to lightning. It can withstand the bombardment of lightning for a long time. At the same time, it can hide the spiritual energy in the body and prevent the alien breath from causing the wrath of thunder. However, it can only last for a period of time, and it will gradually dissipate afterwards. The white-haired old woman said softly. Seeing Lei Zeng and the others start to move, Lu Xuan followed suit and took off a piece of thunder robe floating in front of him. With a move of spiritual power, the robe covered his body just right. After passing this thunder waterfall, you will enter the outer periphery of the ancient medicine garden. There are restrictions everywhere inside, and there are attacks from strange monsters. Please pay more attention, fellow Taoists. Luoming, who didn't know whether he had entered the medicine garden before or got the information from somewhere, told Lu Xuan and the others. Lu Xuan and the others nodded in unison, put on the thunder robe, and entered the thunder waterfall. Chapter 581, Mutation of Thunder Hidden Vine. As soon as he stepped into the thunder waterfall, Lu Xuan found that the thunder fire token in his hand suddenly surged with thunder fire and tried to dispel the thunder power pouring down from the sky. But soon, the thunder fire on the token was like a candle in the wind, shaking violently, as if it would go out at any time. Seeing this, Lu Xuan quickly input his spiritual power into the thunder silk clothes he was wearing. Many tiny lightning threads emerged from the thin thunder silk clothes, and the threads moved flexibly like small snakes. When the thunder power struck, it was absorbed or offset by the lightning snakes on the thunder silk clothes, and the power was reduced by half. The pressure on the thunder fire token was even smaller. The 5 people braved the violent thunder and moved forward slowly. The one-eyed middle-aged man in the front stopped from time to time, as if he was judging the route forward. Because the 4 people beside him had extraordinary cultivation, 3 of them had completed the foundation, and 1 had a late foundation. Lu Xuan did not probe out all his spiritual consciousness, maintaining the spiritual consciousness level of an ordinary late foundation cultivator. However, King Fei Yuyi and Kun Tuling Kui were on full alert, ready to resist the sneak attack from the dark at any time. In this way, after half an hour, the 5 people finally passed through the thick thunder waterfall. Finally, we got out. Staying in that thunder waterfall, we dare not slack off at all. The white-haired old woman sighed. The thunder clothes on everyone's body returned to calm, and the small lightning snakes turned into thread ends and drilled into the gaps in the thunder clothes. Don't relax, everyone. After entering the ancient medicine garden, you will face powerful restrictions everywhere. Luoming reminded. As soon as the voice fell, snowflake-shaped lightning patterns appeared in front of the 5 people, covering the sky and the sun. It seemed beautiful, but they could feel the destructive power hidden in it. Among the 5 of us, I, fellow Daoist Lei, and fellow Daoist Yuan all have impressive accomplishments in formations, so the 3 of us will break the ban. Fellow Daoist Lu, fellow Daoist Wang, you guard beside us to prevent any monster beasts from attacking and delaying the opportunity to break the formation. The one-eyed middle-aged man said solemnly. As far as I know, there is a kind of strange demon python lurking in the outer area of the medicine garden. Those demon pythons have strong hiding abilities, and are difficult to detect with spiritual consciousness. They move in secret, as fast as lightning, and are good at sneak attacks. If they miss a strike, they will flee far away, and hide in the dark waiting for an opportunity to strike. Although their strength is not very strong, they are extremely difficult to deal with and hard to guard against. Don't worry, fellow Daoist, just break the ban with peace of mind. Fellow Daoist Wang, and I will definitely not let those demon pythons affect you. Lu Xuan said solemnly, and Wang Yanzhang beside him nodded heavily in agreement. Luoming and the other 2 used their own methods, concentrating their attention on the powerful ban in front of them. Lu Xuan and the other 2 chose a direction on the left and right, and their spiritual consciousness kept scanning. Dao Lu, if you can't handle it alone, you can call me to help. Wang Yanzhang said expressionlessly. When he started to enter this ancient medicine garden, he was a little dissatisfied with Lu Xuan's joining halfway. But as a casual cultivator, he still knows the priorities. After practicing to this level, even if they are reluctant, they are companions. After entering the medicine garden, attacking each other at this time will only do more harm than good. Okay, Dao Wang, let's hold it together and prevent the 3 Daoists from being disturbed by external objects. Lu Xuan said with a smile. He held the wind and thunder sword, his spiritual consciousness extended, and a layer of hazy spiritual light appeared in his eyes. Under the addition of the delusion-breaking pupil technique, the thunder in the sky seemed to be smeared, revealing the most original spiritual power fluctuations. Suddenly, his spiritual consciousness sensed something strange in front of him, and his spiritual power focused on his eyes. He saw a transparent spiritual power winding and twisting more than 10 feet away, attacking this side at a very fast speed. It was very fast, and came to Lu Xuan in an instant. Come on. Lu Xuan snorted coldly, and the wind and thunder sword in his hand jumped with arcs. A dark hurricane, mixed with the power of thunder, swept towards the attacking monster. Hiss. The demon python had never expected that Lu Xuan had already discovered its traces, and even its movement trajectory had been predicted by Lu Xuan, and it collided head-on with the wind and thunder sword intent. In pain, a thick and transparent demon python revealed its figure, and long and thin scars appeared on its body, and silver-white blood continued to flow out of the scars. The demon python groaned in pain, and its figure disappeared again in the endless thunder light, and disappeared in the distance in an instant. Master Lu, your swordsmanship is good. Wang Yanzhang on the other side was about to come to help Lu Xuan after discovering that the demon python appeared to attack, but he didn't expect that Lu Xuan would repel the demon python with just a face-to-face encounter. This was far beyond his expectations. I didn't expect that Lu Xuan, who looked like an ordinary cultivator, had such superb sword skills. In a flash, he seized the fleeting opportunity and severely injured the mysterious demon python with one sword. Fellow Daoist Wang, you are too kind. Lu Xuan bowed from a distance, looking at the back of the tall young man, his eyelids twitching. His spiritual awareness far exceeded that of ordinary late-stage foundation building cultivators. He also practiced the pupil technique to break delusion. The evil pupils picked from the 100 pupils strange tree were like snacks, and he would eat one from time to time, which made his eyesight enhanced to an extremely terrifying level. In his eyes, there was a long snake-like spiritual power fluctuation, which was rapidly attacking Wang Yanzhang's position. But the tall young man was unaware of it, and was about to come behind him. Be careful, Lu Xuan warned. Wang Yanzhang knew that Lu Xuan would not shoot without a purpose. Thunder rioted all over his body, his muscles swelled, and he turned around at a very fast speed, and his huge fist wrapped in fierce thunder blasted to the back. A transparent demon python faced his fist head on, but before it could bite, it was blown back by the strong wind, caused by the fist. Thank you for your reminder, fellow Daoist Lu. The tall young man turned and thanked Lu Xuan. He didn't notice the demon python until it was near him. Unexpectedly, it was Lu Xuan who was standing farther away who first reminded him. In addition to being grateful, he also had a new understanding of Lu Xuan's strength. At least in terms of spiritual awareness, he was far behind the other party. Lu Xuan smiled in response, looking ahead thoughtfully. After blocking several attacks from the demon python, he finally found an abnormality. This demon python seemed to have another secret. Under the dual effects of his pupil technique and spiritual awareness, the demon python's whereabouts were revealed. He noticed that, although the demon python was extremely fast and its whereabouts were secretive, the direction of its appearance and disappearance was basically in the same area. It stands to reason that normal monsters wouldn't have this kind of behavior. Is it restricted by something, or some other factor? Lu Xuan's thoughts flew. Suddenly, an idea came to him. When he blocked the attack of the monster python again, a ray of greenwood source energy shot out from his fingertips, and his mind was focused on the transparent body of the monster python. The mutant thunder hidden vine, a 4th grade spiritual plant, has a strong aggressiveness. The plant can hide in the lightning, and is difficult to detect. Its whereabouts are secretive and its speed is extremely fast, not inferior to that of an ordinary 4th grade monster. It turns out that it is not a monster, but a mutant spiritual plant. Lu Xuan suddenly realized. Chapter 582 Little Thunder Island. It makes sense if it's a mutated spiritual plant. Most spiritual plants are basically rooted in the spiritual soil. The rhizomes are there. No matter how long the vines and branches are, or how fast they are, their range of activity is still limited. Lu Xuan thought secretly. After his spiritual sense scanned and confirmed the location of the thunder hidden vine, he sent a voice message to Wang Yanzhong. Fellow Daoist Wang, this mysterious demon python has a strange origin. If I'm not mistaken, it may be a mutated spiritual plant. Mutated spiritual plant? Wang Yanzhong, who was fighting off a demon python, was stunned. Does fellow Daoist Lu have any evidence? As far as I know, spiritual plants cannot be so aggressive, and their speed and range of activity are not much different from those of demon beasts. He asked Lu Xuan with a bit of doubt in his tone. There is no definite evidence, but I'm quite confident, based on the instinctive intuition of a spiritual plant master. I have cultivated a large number of spiritual plants, and have a deep understanding of spiritual plants, so I have this idea. Lu Xuan naturally would not expose his special ability, powerful spiritual sense, and pupil technique, and said vaguely, spiritual plant master's intuition. Wang Yanzhong thought. In this way, it barely makes sense that Lu Xuan could find the mysterious demon python in advance. He originally thought that Lu Xuan's spiritual awareness was far superior to his own, so he could find the trace of the demon python first, but now it seems that there is another mystery. If it is a mutated spiritual plant, does fellow Daoist Lu have any way to deal with it? Wang Yanzhong's body turned into a series of afterimages, and the giant fist with lightning flashed and knocked away a demon python close to Lei Zheng, and asked Lu Xuan at the same time. There is no way to find their specific location, but the roots of spiritual plants are basically fixed, and you only need to use range magic to select the location of the spiritual plants. Lu Xuan suggested. Fire or ice magic is the best. Okay, then I'll try. Wang Yanzhong nodded, and immediately took out a fiery red talisman from the storage bag, and activated his spiritual power. Suddenly, countless strands of red flames gushed out, forming a tight and solid fire net, sweeping forward. Although the mutated thunder hidden vine was extremely aggressive, it had not yet evolved the intelligence to dissolve the fire net in advance. It was not until the fire net was about to burn its body that the transparent vines, like pythons, frantically pounced on the heavy flames. However, fire magic was naturally restrained by spiritual plants, and the thunder hidden vine had nowhere to hide. Without the powerful means of sneak attack, it was quickly killed by Wang Yanzhong, who rushed over. He followed the same method, using a series of fire talismans to eliminate the past, and found the mutated thunder hidden vine plants that were almost transparent, and had a strong ability to hide in thunder one by one, and then forcefully solved them one by one. Xuan also used talismans to pull out a few mutated thunder hidden vine plants and easily solve them. It's a pity that there are only these plants, and no thunder hidden vine spiritual seeds were found in this area. He returned to the side of the few people and sighed in his heart. When he went to clean up the mutated spiritual plants, he asked the demon ghost vine that had shrunk in size and hidden in his robes to carefully sense whether there were thunder hidden vine spiritual seeds around, but unfortunately nothing was found. As he was sighing with emotion, suddenly, thousands of snowflake-shaped lightning patterns lit up in front of him, and thin and long lightning bolts shot out, connecting together to form a lightning gate. Okay, the restriction outside the medicine garden has been broken. Xuan and the other two stood up together, looking at the lightning gate, and said in a deep voice, with a sense of relief in their expressions, "Thank you for your hard work, fellow Taoists," Xuan said with a smile. "It's because of the concerted efforts of the five of us, and fellow Taoists Lu and Lu also made great efforts. Especially fellow Taoist Lu, you actually discovered that the demon python was actually a mutated spiritual plant, which was easily solved, avoiding sneak attacks and harassment when breaking the restriction." The one-eyed middle-aged Xuan looked at Xuan with some recognition in his eyes. Lei Zeng and Yuan Shuangling were the same. Although the three of them focused on breaking the restriction, they were still clear about the situation outside. Naturally, they understood that Xuan had very cleverly solved the big problem of the demon python sneak attack, and provided the three of them with a safe and stable environment for breaking the restriction. These mutated vines are extremely hard, and contain a certain amount of thunder spirit aura. They have a strong ability to hide, and can be used to refine some special magic tools. Xuan and the other two took out the collected thunder hidden vines, a total of 12 pieces, and placed them on the ground. The vines were extremely inconspicuous in the thunder, with faint thunder patterns all over them. If you are not careful, you will ignore them. 3 people broke the ban, and 2 people guarded it. Among them, fellow Taoist Lu made a great contribution, and found the source of the so-called demon python. This time, the 3 of us were able to easily break the ban. Fellow Taoist Lu divides it into 3 pieces, and the other 4 people each take 2 pieces. Whoever takes the remaining piece will give some spirit stones to the others. What do you think? Xuan proposed his opinion on how to deal with the thunder hidden vines. The other 3 people did not have any opinions, and the 5 of them quickly divided them up. After entering this ancient medicine garden, if there is danger inside, the 5 of us will join forces to fight the enemy. First eliminate the enemy, and then look for opportunities. If it is safe, then it depends on our own ability to see who has the most luck. Xuan and the others nodded in agreement. He followed Xuan and passed through the thunder gate. A slight numbness spread throughout his body, and in a blink of an eye, he entered a new world. In the Sea of Thunder, several small islands were suspended in the air, and there were floating bridges connecting the islands. Various spiritual thunders emerged, some swam around the islands like fish, and some fell down with a mighty force, hitting the center of the island. The Thunder Island was covered with various powerful restrictions. Xuan used the breaking delusion pupil technique and vaguely saw the traces of spiritual plants and monsters on the island. I didn't expect the ancient medicine garden to be like this. Xuan sighed in his heart. He originally thought that the so-called ancient medicine garden was a spiritual field cave amplified many times, but he didn't expect it to be this strange scene in front of him. Dear Taoist friends, do you want to step into the first Thunder Island together, or do you want to act alone? From top to bottom of each island, there are stairs made of suspended floating stones. However, judging from the thunder and lightning on it, it should not be so easy to climb up. Let's go to an island together first to see what the situation is, and then make a decision. Lei Zeng said. I have no objection. Xuan said quickly. Although he was confident that his strength might be stronger than the others, everything on the island was unknown. If he encountered some evil spirits or monsters that were beyond his ability, if he acted together, he would at least run faster than his 4 companions. As long as he ran faster than his teammates, he would not be the most dangerous one. Okay, let's go and see together. Wang Yanzhang seemed to want to act alone, but he lowered his head and thought about it, and changed his mind. Anyway, there are several Thunder Island, and he can look for opportunities alone at any time. The white-haired old woman beside her smiled and nodded in agreement. Chapter 583, Spirit Lotus Riot. After making the decision to explore Thunder Island together, the 5 of them boarded the suspended pumice stone one after another. As soon as it landed on the suspended pumice stone, traces of lightning appeared on the surface of the thunderstone, and passed into Lu Xuan's body through his feet. The power of the thunder light is not very strong, but it does slight damage to the body, and it is not a small problem if accumulated. Lu Xuan's pupils were filled with misty spiritual light. He looked at the spiritual energy flowing on the surface of the pumice stone, and his feet landed on the weakest point of the thunder aura. In this way, the impact of the lightning on the pumice stone on him was almost negligible. After a while, everyone boarded the first Thunder Island half in anticipation and half in nervousness. The restrictions on the island are very simple. Even if Lu Xuan has not deliberately studied the formation method, he can easily break it with just his eyes that practice eye skills and some superficial theoretical knowledge. However, with Liu Oming's 3 formation masters here, he saved a lot of effort. Anyway, I'm just an ordinary spiritual planter, so it is reasonable for me not to understand formations. Huh? Are there spiritual plants there? As soon as they entered the core area of Thunder Island, the 5 of them noticed that there were spiritual fields not far away, and there were many lotus spiritual plants growing in the spiritual fields. The lotus rhizome is silvery white and dazzling, and the leaves are extremely wide and wrapped with countless tiny thunders. From time to time, strands of thunder seep out, jumping and chasing among the branches and leaves, and finally fall into some silver-white sandstone at the bottom. The lotus leaves continued to sway in the countless thunderous auras, making the lightning that popped out appear particularly active. Looking at the morphological characteristics, it seems to be somewhat similar to the thunderstorm lotus I planted. While Lu Xuan was thinking, he saw Wang Yanzhang speeding toward the thunderous lotus plant. It belongs to me. He looked at the more than 10 silver white lotus seeds formed in the center of the lotus leaf, with an expression of surprise on his face. Bang! Just when he was about to touch the silver white lotus seeds, suddenly, the thunderous aura wrapped around the lotus leaf seemed to sense something, and suddenly fell into a riot. Bursts of thunder poured down, and the entire spiritual plant turned into a ball of silvery white light and exploded. Roots, branches, leaves, and even lotus seeds all erupted with powerful thunderous power. Wang Yanzhang was caught off guard, and was hit head-on by countless thunderous auras. In an instant, the lightning swept across like ocean waves, washing over his body. Although he was a body-refining cultivator, his physical body was strong. Under so many thunders, his whole body was scorched black and his muscles were constantly trembling. This scene caused several other people to stop and look at Lion Hurling Sea with cautious eyes. What kind of ghost plant is this? It exploded before it even touched it. Wang Yanzhang took a milky white pill. After dozens of breaths, he completely returned to normal and retreated in front of the 4 people with a bit of anger in his tone. After seeing that there were no evil beasts around, he originally planned to use his strong body to rush to the spiritual plant and pick the elixir and maybe get more of it later. Unexpectedly, the lotus spiritual plant was so weird that it suddenly exploded for no reason. Not only were all the lotus seeds inside destroyed, but he was also slightly injured, leaving him in an embarrassing situation in the eyes of the 4 people. Fellow Daoist Lu, do you know anything about this weird spiritual plant? Liu Oming turned to look at Lu Xuan, who looked thoughtful, and asked in a deep voice. If I admit my mistake correctly, this should be a 4th grade thunderstorm lotus, which is extremely rare in the world of cultivation. If a few Taoists are not interested in spiritual plants, they probably have never heard of it. I only learned about it some time ago. I understand. I got one of its spiritual seeds from the Halao Chamber of Commerce. However, my spiritual plant was just planted, and I haven't seen its mature appearance, so I didn't recognize it at first. I'm very sorry for not being able to remind fellow Daoist Wang immediately, Lu Xuan said to Wang Yanzhang with his fists clasped. It doesn't matter, I just accidentally caught the path of that weird spiritual plant. The actual lethality is not very strong. Wang Yanzhang said gloomily, and waved his hands, not sure whether he believed what Lu Xuan said. Then why did this so-called thunderstorm lotus suddenly explode? Lei Zeng asked in confusion. This thunderstorm lotus needs to be nourished by the breath of thunder when it grows. As time goes by, more and more thunder spiritual power will be accumulated in the spiritual plant, and the plant will gradually become unstable, which may lead to thunder riots. That was just now. The thunderstorm lotus seems to have matured for a long time, and the thunder spiritual power in the plant has reached an extremely terrifying level. It is very sensitive, and can ignite at a moment's notice. So, if a few fellow Taoists want to pick thunderstorm lotus seeds later, but you must pay attention to this. Try to be gentle with your movements and restrain your spiritual power so as not to stimulate the thunder spirit breath on the plant. Thunderstorm lotus seeds contain pure thunder and lightning power, which can be used to raise thunder spirit beasts, such as those in the hands of fellow Taoist Luo. That thunder dragon can also be used to assist the gradual thunder system skills and magical powers, which is valuable, Lu Xuan reminded. It seems that inviting fellow Daoist Lu to come to this ancient medicine garden this time is an extremely correct decision. If we rough guys pick lotus seeds directly, we will lose a lot. A smile appeared on Liu Oming's face, and several people nodded in agreement. Deeply understand the importance of spiritual planters in this medicine garden. Each of the 5 people chose a spiritual field to converge their spiritual power and avoid stimulating the thunder spirit aura on the plants. Then, using extremely gentle movements, slowly reach out and pick the lotus seeds. Lu Xuan also chose one and gently picked the lotus seeds in the center of the lotus leaves. The reason why he just informed everyone about the thunderstorm lotus information was naturally due to his own considerations. If he picks it alone, he will definitely become the target of public criticism and may cause the 4 of them to join forces to deal with it. If the information about the thunderstorm lotus is concealed, and the rare spiritual plant is in front of them, it is impossible for everyone to cross the treasure mountain without entering. They will definitely try their best to pick the lotus seeds, and they may lose a lot for no reason. Telling the information you know about thunderstorm lotus can avoid this situation. At the same time, when dividing lotus seeds, you can use this important information to get more points. The 5 people were not very far from each other, so naturally they would not swallow the lotus seeds alone. Soon, they picked all the thunderstorm lotus in a nearby spiritual field. After Lu Xuan's reminder, there was no thunderous lotus riot in the future, and a large number of lotus seeds were picked without any danger. There are 108 lotus seeds in total. Fellow Daoist Lu was able to pick so many because of his advice. He got 28 for each of us, and the 4 of us each got 20. How about that? Okay. No problem. This is fellow Daoist Lu. You deserve it. Lei Zeng and others nodded in agreement. Thank you all fellow Taoists. Lu Xuan bowed his hands and politely put the 28 silver white lotus seeds into his storage bag. Just as everyone was about to go to the other side of the island to continue searching for thunderstorm lotus and picking lotus seeds, suddenly, a strange laughter sounded in their ears. The laughter was loud and loud, like the sound of thunder. Chapter 584 A Gay Man. The moment they heard the strange laughter, Lu Xuan and the other 5 were as if they were facing a formidable enemy, and their spiritual consciousness quickly searched for the source of the sound. I didn't find it. Lu Xuan's heart trembled. He had a 5th grade treasure Yun Shentai nourishing his sea of consciousness all the time, and he also practiced the Shenyanjing to enhance his soul and spiritual consciousness. His spiritual consciousness was stronger than that of most of the perfect foundation building cultivators, but he still couldn't find the location of the strange laughter. After a few breaths, the laughter became louder. In the countless lightning rays in the distance ahead, tiny strands of lightning gathered together, and a strange beast gradually revealed its figure. Its lips were like cinnabar, and a strange arc was drawn at the corners of its mouth, as if it was always mocking everyone. It had long silver white horns on its head, a pair of wide green flesh wings, and lightning flashes on the surface. There was a strange tumor on the waist of the beast, shaped like a drum, and a rumbling sound came out of it, as if there was a mighty thunder brewing in it. What is this? A demon beast or an evil spirit? Wang Yanzhang said in a lost voice. Whatever it is, just solve it directly. Lei Zeng snorted coldly, the silver-white lightning pattern on his cheek became brighter, the thunder wings on his back spread out, and a long halberd appeared in his hand, turning into a stream of light. The long halberd brought gusts of wind, and slashed fiercely at the strange beast. At the same time, the white-haired old woman slammed the ground with her cane, and stones splashed. The passionate dragon roar sounded, and the cane turned into a huge dragon, rushing towards the strange beast as fast as lightning. The strange beast tilted its head and looked down, with a hint of displeasure in its eyes. The strange and slender arm hit the drum-shaped tumor on its waist with force. Boom. Thunder exploded, and thick thunders danced like silver snakes, striking at Lu Xuan and the other 5. Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness sensed the changes in thunder, and the green shoes under his feet appeared with green light. At an incredible angle, he avoided the thunder as thick as a bucket. The other 4 people also used their own methods to block and offset all the thunder. Looking at the strange beast again, he found that it had disappeared without a sound. What is the origin of this beast? The one-eyed middle-aged man asked in confusion. I don't know, I haven't seen it. It defeated me with a casual attack. Judging from its strength, it should be close to forming a pill. The white-haired old woman said solemnly. We should be more vigilant next time. The strange beast that appeared inexplicably made Lu Xuan and others alert. The 5 of them formed a formation and slowly rushed to the other side of the island. On the other side of the island, there were also some fully mature thunderstorm lotuses, with lightning arcs bursting in the branches and leaves, looking extremely unstable. However, after Lu Xuan's reminder, Eluoming and others already had experience in picking silver white lotus seeds. While being on guard, they picked lotus seeds one by one very gently. Afterwards, the 5 people divided them evenly. Lu Xuan got 22 seeds. Together with the previous ones, a total of 50 thunderstorm lotus seeds were harvested, which was a good harvest. There is nothing valuable on this island. Let's go to the next island together? Eluoming asked. Lu Xuan and his friends nodded in agreement. The strange beast that appeared and disappeared was like a sword hanging over their heads, which made them unable to relax at all. The intention of exploring Thunder Island alone faded away. The distance between the islands was not very far. Some were tens of feet away, and some were hundreds of feet away. There were many huge rocks suspended in the middle, and lightning flashed. The 5 people climbed onto the island carefully. When they were about to search carefully, suddenly, a strong wind blew, and the restrictions on the island seemed to be activated in an instant, and the spiritual pattern swam wildly. The sky and the earth spun, and the scene in front of Lu Xuan changed completely, with clouds and mist surging and lightning flashing. It seems to have entered the restriction. He scanned with his spiritual sense, and found that the range he could perceive was reduced a lot. Using the pupil technique, he could see various spiritual power circulation routes in his eyes, which were dense and obscure, and there was no clue. The figures of the other Taoists disappeared in an instant, and the situation should be similar to mine. He thought secretly in his heart. To crack the restriction, one must either use brute force to break it, or master the art of formation, discover the pattern of the restriction, find the key to the formation or the weak point of the restriction, and directly find the key to the problem, like solving a problem. Although I don't know much about the formation, fortunately I have the pupil technique of breaking delusion, and I can eliminate the many answers found by the pupil technique one by one. Lu Xuan thought optimistically. Out of caution, he released the void nightmare eye and swam above him. The restriction covers the entire island, and the scene presented by the grey-white pupil in his hand is no different from what he saw with his own eyes. While constantly trying to crack the restriction in front of him, suddenly, he heard the strange laughter like thunder again. Lu Xuan was calm, holding the 5th grade Peacock King sword, the Tai Thunder talisman hidden in his sleeves ready to go, and the Kun spirit puppet on his waist was shaking with shoulders, very active. After a few breaths, the strange beast behind the laughter saw that Lu Xuan had no reaction, felt bored, and drilled out of the vast lightning. The strands of lightning condensed, as if they were bred in the sea of thunder. Its pair of red eyes looked at Lu Xuan curiously, and the corners of its mouth kept rising, as if it was mocking Lu Xuan for not finding its trace. The man and the beast stared at each other for a long time. When it appeared before, this strange beast didn't seem to show any aggression, and now it is the same. Maybe it has no ill will towards the monks who appeared on the Thunder Island? Lu Xuan guessed. The body is condensed by lightning. I wonder if it will be interested in the thunderstorm lotus seeds that contain pure lightning power. Is there no way for this beast to pick the thunderstorm lotus seeds without causing a riot in the spiritual plants? So, it appeared in front of us, and even followed behind us, maybe just to ask for something to eat? A strange thought flashed through his mind. Do you want to eat this lotus seed? A silver white lotus seed appeared in his hand and shook it towards the beast. The moment the beast saw the lotus seed, the corner of its mouth curved higher and silently moved closer to Lu Xuan. Then I'll give you one. Lu Xuan used his spiritual power to carry the thunderstorm lotus seed and flew in front of the strange beast. The beast opened its mouth and a silver white lotus seed flew into its mouth. The moment it swallowed the thunderstorm lotus seed, its green flesh wings behind it flapped rapidly, and the lightning around it suddenly became much stronger. Ha ha ha, eating a lotus seed can cause a strange phenomenon. Lu Xuan couldn't help laughing, and his mind was focused on the strange beast. Thunder Ghost, or Thunder Spirit born from endless thunder, has a strength close to that of a 5th grade monster. It can turn into lightning and escape into it at any time. It is extremely fast and can control the power of lightning to attack the enemy. It likes all kinds of spiritual thunder and thunder spiritual fruits. It has a weird temperament and likes to play tricks on creatures. It is not very aggressive. Laugh out loud. Will it be fed with spiritual fruits like many years ago? Only one update today. One is stuck in writing, and the other is annoyed by the family's urging to get married. How outrageous is it? My junior high school teacher from the same village actually called me and advised me to get married soon. Sorry. Chapter 585. 5 Thunders and Twin Flowers. A spirit with the strength of a quasi 5th grade demon beast. Lu Xuan sighed as he looked at the winking thunder ghost and felt deeply moved. Born in thunder, no wonder it has no form and can condense and dissipate its body freely. It's not very aggressive, that's better. There's no need to bother dealing with a quasi 5th grade spirit. Well, if I feed it 1 or 2 more thunderstorm lotus seeds, maybe I can improve its favorability and let it help me get unexpected gains from this ancient medicine garden. The thought flashed through his mind, and then he took out another silver white lotus seed. Have you been hungry for a long time? Do you want to try it? The tone was gentle, and it was extremely tempting. This thunder ghost was not stupid, and after hearing Lu Xuan's words, it immediately nodded, and its eyes were completely attracted by the lotus seeds. After it swallowed the lotus seeds, Lu Xuan's mind focused on its body again. It seems to have a little favor towards me. He felt like he was playing a cultivation game. Through the means of feeding, he keenly noticed that the thunder ghost spirit's favorability towards him was constantly increasing. Just when he was about to feed another lotus seed, a rumbling thunder sounded, and Lei Gigan instantly disappeared from the endless thunder. Just as Lu Xuan was about to use his spiritual sense to perceive, Lei Gigan's head suddenly appeared from above his head, as if to scare him. Sure enough, he likes to play tricks on people. Lu Xuan sighed, and the spiritual power on the surface of the Kunta spirit puppet on his waist dimmed, and the Tai Thunder talisman that was exposed from his sleeves was quietly retracted. Lei Gigan laughed strangely and disappeared from Lu Xuan's sight again. Come on, another one. Lu Xuan was calm and smiled, and threw a lotus seed in the direction of Lei Gigan. A silver white light flashed, and Lei Gigan pinched the lotus seed with his claws and swallowed it into his stomach. After eating 3 lotus seeds in succession, the muffled sound of the drum-shaped tumor on his waist became more and more frequent, as if a thunder tribulation was brewing. I'm lost on this thunder island and can't get out for a while. You've lived here for so long. Can you lead me out of these restrictions? After feeding 3 4th grade thunderstorm lotus seeds, Lu Xuan's true intentions were exposed, and he asked Lei Gigan. Lei Gigan nodded, tilted his head to think for a while, flapped his green flesh wings, and signaled Lu Xuan to follow. Lu Xuan followed closely behind, slowly shuttling through the restrictions. 3 lotus seeds have made this local monster a guide. Not bad, he thought with a relaxed look. It's not that the pupil technique can't break this restriction, but it's more cost effective to lead the way. While sighing, his body suddenly relaxed, and the thunder power that was everywhere before disappeared. Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness swept over and found no trace of the other 4 people, so he was slightly relieved. His figure swept towards the center of the island like a stream of light and looked around, but he didn't find any trace of spiritual plants or monsters. Occasionally, 1 or 2 pieces of wood were also lifeless, dry and charred. Perhaps after the spiritual plants matured, they did not produce new spiritual seeds, or perhaps other cultivators had entered this island long ago and swept them away. Lu Xuan thought to himself. He glanced at the silver white sand and gravel in the spiritual field, and based on the principle of never returning empty-handed, he swept large pieces of it into the gluttonous insect bag. As the spiritual plants cultivated became higher and higher in grade, the requirements for spiritual soil also increased. It was better to store more special spiritual soil to be prepared. Perhaps Lei Gigan had stayed alone in this ancient medicine garden for too long. When Lu Xuan collected the spiritual soil, he kept appearing and disappearing around him, like playing hide and seek, enjoying it. Lu Xuan was not as vigilant as before, and let this monster play around. Okay, it's almost done. I should be able to lay out a few special spiritual fields. He stood up and looked at the spiritual field with a large area of empty space, feeling satisfied. While they are still trapped in the restriction, I can let Lei Gigan take me to other islands to take a look and seize the initiative. He thought to himself and took out another silver white lotus seed. Do you like this kind of thunder spiritual fruit and flower? Lu Xuan asked while Lei Gigan was tasting the lotus seeds. Yeah. His mind was focused on Lei Gigan, and he could hear the affirmative thoughts it conveyed. To be honest, I'm also a spiritual plant master like the previous owner of your medicine garden. I like and am best at cultivating spiritual plants. If I can get a few thunder spiritual seeds, maybe it won't take long to successfully cultivate them. Lu Xuan said almost explicitly. When Lei Gigan heard his words, his red eyes brightened a little, and he suddenly appeared in front of Lu Xuan, with a rumbling thunder from his mouth. In Lu Xuan's perception, it told Lu Xuan that there was a small island it could enter, and it was likely to find spiritual seeds, and it said it was very happy to take Lu Xuan there. Okay, in that case, I'll trouble you to lead the way. After I cultivate them, I'll bring the spiritual fruits and flowers to feed you. Lu Xuan promised that, if he could really find rare spiritual seeds, he would bring some to the Thunder Ghost Lord after they matured. At least the light ball reward would be completely his. I don't know if it was the thunder environment that affected the demon ghost vine, or if there were too many restrictions on the island. The demon ghost vine didn't seem to be very active, and didn't find the breath of the spiritual seeds. And this Thunder Ghost Lord not only can lead him to quickly pass through the restrictions, but also save a lot of time and find the spiritual seeds directly. No matter how much he rewards him, it's not too much. The Thunder Ghost Lord appeared and disappeared in front, and Lu Xuan followed closely behind. After passing through 2 small islands with nothing, when they arrived at the 3rd island, the Thunder Ghost Lord moved much slower and took Lu Xuan to a spiritual field. The spiritual field was filled with fine lightning of different colors. The lightning might be imprisoned by the formation, and it was only active above the spiritual field, without escaping. Is it in here? Lu Xuan asked the Thunder Ghost Lord. The Thunder Ghost Lord made a thunderous sound and nodded in affirmation. Lu Xuan let it lead him into the formation, carefully avoiding the various spiritual thunders that swam around. With a thought, a slender gray-white vine quickly crawled out from his sleeve. Come out to work. Lu Xuan instructed the demon ghost vine. The gray-white vine of the demon ghost vine was raised high and constantly differentiated into tentacle-like branches, drilling into the silver-white sandstone. The silver-white sandstone contained a weak thunder spirit breath, which made the many tentacles of the demon ghost vine tremble. However, with the attraction of the spirit seed, it didn't care about those. After a while, Lu Xuan felt a tentacle of the demon ghost vine rushing towards him. Did you find it? He thought with surprise, and the gray-white tentacles stretched out, and a 5-color spirit seed appeared in front of him. The spirit seed was oval in shape, with 5 colors of lightning mixed inside. Blue, white, black, red, and yellow. 5 light balls formed by fine thunder merged with each other and were clearly separated, as if they had vitality, and contracted and expanded. Lu Xuan planted it in the spiritual soil, focused his mind on it, and instantly learned the information about the spiritual seed. 5 Thunder Twin Flowers, a 5th grade spiritual plant. Chapter 586, Forced Gift. 5 Element Twin Flowers, a 5th grade spiritual plant, have extremely high growth requirements. They need spiritual energy and spiritual soil that contain the breath of thunder spirits. They need to be nourished by the 5 element of spiritual thunder during the cultivation process. After maturity, a trace of the original spiritual thunder of the 5 element can be extracted through thunder magic, and it can also be made into high-level thunder talismans to assist in gradually practicing certain thunder-related skills and magical powers, and raising thunder-related spiritual beasts. The 5 element of spiritual thunder need to achieve a delicate balance. If they are out of balance for a long time, it will be detrimental to the growth of spiritual plants, and may even cause them to wither and die. As quintuplets, you must treat them equally, otherwise you will die. Good. 5th grade spiritual seeds. Xuan was happy. He has cultivated a lot of 5th grade spiritual plants, and there are also several mature ones. The rewards in each light group are extremely optimistic. The 6th grade blood nerf, the 6th grade TSUI meat, the 6th grade treasure crocodile dragon pearl, and the worst are the 5th grade 9-headed dragon picture. Therefore, he only thinks that the more 5th grade spiritual seeds, the better. As for the 5 element of spiritual thunder, with the boundless blessed land of the Sea of Thunder, although it is a bit difficult to collect, it is not a problem to cultivate the 5 Thunder Twin Flower. Well done. He nodded to the demon ghost vine and encouraged it. Keep digging. Dig out all the spiritual seeds in this spiritual field, even if you have to dig 3 feet. All the tentacles of the demon ghost vine nodded heavily. After being encouraged by Xuan, they were full of energy and continued to divide and extend in all directions, entering the depths of the spiritual soil again. Another one was dug out. Not bad. There is another one. Surprises came one after another. Xuan smiled from ear to ear. In the end, when the demon ghost vine dug in the spiritual soil for a while and did not find any new spiritual seeds, he stopped this behavior with a sense of satisfaction. A total of 6 5 Thunder Twin Flower spiritual seeds. I've made a fortune. He looked at the spiritual seeds flashing with 5 colored lightning in his hand, feeling satisfied. The 5 grade spiritual seeds obtained previously were basically 1 each. The mother and daughter plants of the holy infant fruit can be counted together. Only 3 5 grade dragon skeleton grass spiritual seeds were dug out from the bottom of Cayenne Lan Lake. Thank you so much. Xuan looked at Lei Gigang, who had been shuttling in the lightning around him, and said gratefully, "Here are 6 lotus seeds as a reward for bringing me here to find these spiritual seeds." He took out 6 thunderstorm lotus seeds and presented them to Lei Gigang. After Lei Gigang swallowed 4 thunderstorm lotus seeds in a short period of time, it had reached saturation, and the pure thunder spirit breath left in its body had not yet been digested. Xuan took out another 6 lotus seeds, which made this playful spirit shy and embarrassed to take the lotus seeds. Enough, I'm full. It conveyed a thought to Xuan. Take it, you must take it. You can keep it on your body when you are full, and eat it when you are hungry after taking it home. Xuan said very enthusiastically, and directly placed the 6 lotus seeds on the big drum tumor on Lei Gigang's waist. It was like the scene when elders insisted on giving red envelopes during the Chinese New Year. Lei Gigang half reluctantly accepted, and his big drum tumor surged, and he took 6 silver white lotus seeds into it. Receiving such a big gift, Xuan felt that it was extremely happy, and it seemed a little embarrassed when facing him. Where is the trace of resentment? Xuan suddenly felt that something was wrong with the surrounding environment. He looked down and saw that the demon ghost vine was standing tall, with the top facing other directions, and many tentacles and vines kept tapping the ground. It looked like it was using busyness to cover up its embarrassment. Haha, I forgot about you, little guy. Seeing it like this, Xuan couldn't help laughing, and took out a thunderstorm lotus seed. The lotus seeds contain thunder spirit power, and the power is particularly strong. You have to digest it slowly after eating it. Although the demon ghost vine is also a 5th grade mutant spiritual plant with the habits of a demon beast, it is still in the growth stage after all, and the lotus seeds containing pure thunder spirit aura may be a little unbearable for it. With the delicious food in front of it, the demon ghost vine didn't care about so much. One end of the vine came into Lu Xuan's palm at lightning speed and rolled up the silver white lotus seeds. After a dozen breaths, a faint silver white light emerged from the grey white vine. The light was so strong that it almost penetrated the body. Slowly, even the thin breath of thunder spirit seeped out and kept wandering on the vine. Seeing this, the red lips of Lei Gigan on the side curved even more, as if he was mocking the demon ghost vine. The green flesh wings touched the vine, and the breath of thunder spirit seeped into it. The grey-white vine, that was shaking rapidly, slowly calmed down, with silver-white traces, and shrank rapidly, and drilled into Lu Xuan's sleeves again. Lu Xuan sensed the situation of the demon ghost vine with his mind, and after confirming that it was in good condition, he was completely relieved. "Thank you for saving my spiritual plant." He bowed to the strange-looking Lei Gigan and said. The corners of Thunder Ghost's mouth curved upwards, seemingly mocking, but Lu Xuan could sense its inner joy. It was bred in endless thunder and had a long lifespan. It had lived alone in this deserted ancient medicine garden for who knows how many years, and was extremely lonely. So after seeing Lu Xuan and the others picking lotus seeds, it couldn't help but show up. Even if it was attacked for no reason, it would only fight back slightly and disappear. Later, it didn't expect Lu Xuan to take the initiative, to show his kindness and feed it a thunderstorm lotus seed. It usually feeds on spirit thunder and thunder spirit fruits, and it can't collect extremely unstable mature lotus seeds, so it can only live on the spirit thunder in the medicine garden. It tasted the thunderstorm lotus seeds that it had been thinking about here, and it wasn't just 1 or 2. After eating 4 in a row, it was given 6, which made it full of goodwill towards Lu Xuan. "Can you go to the several thunder islands in this medicine garden?" Lu Xuan asked curiously. As he went deeper, he found that the treasures he had found on the islands were becoming more and more precious. The first island only had some thunderstorm lotus seeds, and no spiritual plants were found on the islands behind. He searched for a lot of silver white sandstone, and found 6 5th grade spiritual seeds on the island he was on. As a result, the restrictions on the islands became stronger and stronger. He could feel that even this thunder ghost was slowing down. "You can still enter, but the islands behind may be a little dangerous. The restrictions are more terrifying as you go further back. There are even very terrifying and powerful beings sleeping in the 2 innermost ones." After being fed with lotus seeds by Lu Xuan, thunder ghosts could communicate with each other, and passed on this thought to Lu Xuan. Even the quasi 5th grade spirits feel dangerous and even terrifying. Lu Xuan was startled. Why not just retreat? He was already satisfied with getting 6 5 Thunder Twin Flower spiritual seeds. When he was about to choose to be more cautious and leave the medicine garden, he saw Thunder Ghost baring his fangs and claws again. There is a very large spiritual tree growing on the island behind. It is this big. The blue flesh wings of Lei Gigan continued to extend until they could no longer stretch. That's interesting. After Lu Xuan confirmed that the idea conveyed by Lei Gigan did not have any malicious intent, he felt a little moved. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 587. You know nothing about the power of the spiritual plant master. A flash of white light passed by, and Lu Xuan and Lei Gigan flew out of the vast thunder. Finally, we succeeded in getting out of that restriction. At this moment, both the man and the monster looked a little embarrassed. There were burnt marks all over Lei Gigan's green wings, and there was a faint smell of burning. It looked at Lu Xuan, and the corners of its mouth curved even more, as if it was still mocking him. After learning that there was a huge spiritual plant on the Thunder Island behind, Lu Xuan was somewhat tempted and asked Lei Gigan to lead him into the outer restriction of the island. With this guide and his own pupil technique, it took a lot of effort to break out of the restriction. After scanning the spiritual consciousness and confirming that there was nothing abnormal around, Xuan was able to rest assured to check the situation on the island. The thunder on the island was more intense and vigorous than before, as if it would cause a riot at any time with just a little stimulation. In the center of the island, there was a wide thunder pool, with dense patterns engraved on the edge of the thunder pool, and thunder and lightning were intertwined inside. In the middle of the thunder pool, there is a stone pillar about 10 feet thick. The stone pillar is towering into the clouds, with countless strange thunder patterns on the surface, and a towering green vine tightly wrapped around it. The green vine reveals an extremely rich and pure vitality, and green thunder can be vaguely seen jumping around in the branches and leaves. Many vines hang down, and occasionally a ball of green spiritual liquid can be seen condensed at the end. The spiritual liquid is condensed but not dispersed, with a sense of nature and a breath of destruction, giving people an absurd, yet reasonable strange feeling. Xuan's eyes surged with a layer of misty spiritual power, sweeping around the thunder pool, and found nothing unusual. The green shoes under his feet flashed with spiritual light, and he came lightly to the bottom of a section of green vines, and picked a ball of green spiritual liquid. Just when he was about to take a closer look at what this ball of spiritual liquid was, suddenly, thunder rumbled, and the thunder ghost man not far away disappeared. Xuan immediately noticed that there was a breath rushing towards the thunder pool. Dao Lu. The visitor was the white-haired old woman. She was a little surprised to see Xuan, as if she had not expected Xuan to be here at all. Dao Yuan, why are you the only one here? Where are the other 3 Daoists? Xuan held the kanking spiritual liquid and slowly let it fall, asking the white-haired old woman. Perhaps they were trapped in some restrictions, or they were acting alone to seek opportunities. I didn't see the 3 Daoists. The white-haired old woman gently rubbed the lifelike dragon head on the top of the cane in her hand, and her eyes looked at Xuan with a bit of complexity. I didn't expect Dao Lu to break through the many restrictions and arrive at this thunder island first. It's just that I was lucky and raised a spirit beast that is good at pupil techniques, and I got to this island in a daze. Xuan said nonsense casually. I see. The white-haired old woman seemed to be thinking about something, and she didn't know how much she believed Xuan's reason. By the way, fellow Daoist Lu, the reason why I came to this ancient medicine garden is to obtain the spiritual liquid in your hand. I wonder if you can bear the pain and give it to me. I can give you a 4th grade magic weapon as compensation. The white-haired old woman looked at the blue spiritual liquid in Xuan's hand and said slowly, excuse me, fellow Daoist Yuan, where does this spiritual liquid come from? Xuan asked. I saw in a certain book that it should be a special spiritual liquid condensed from this green vine. This reason seems familiar. Xuan chuckled in his heart. He had used this reason more than once to deceive his fellow disciples of the Xianjian sect. I'm sorry that I can't do it. If it is another treasure, as long as the value is equal, there is no problem in giving it to fellow Daoist Yuan. But if it is a treasure related to spiritual plants, then Lu can only keep it for himself. He said calmly. Has fellow Daoist Lu made up his mind? Why does fellow Daoist Yuan still want to take it away by force? Treasures are for those who are destined to get them. You and I came together to explore this ancient medicine garden. It's not appropriate to take them by force, right? Fellow Daoist Yuan is a cultivator who has completed the foundation building, and he still wants to bully an ordinary spiritual plant master who is only in the late stage of foundation building? A smile appeared on the corner of Xuan's mouth. Of course not. The white-haired old woman walked aside and waved her hand to show that she had no ill intentions. There is also spiritual liquid condensed on the green vine. Fellow Daoist Lu, and I will share it equally. She showed a kind smile. That's the best. Xuan also smiled. The white-haired old woman walked around to the side of the thunder pool and stomped the dragon-headed cane in her hand. Suddenly, a ball of white light surged from Xuan's body, and the thunder thread clothes he had originally obtained from the old woman disintegrated inch by inch, turning into countless thunderlights, entering his limbs and bones. A strong numbness came from his body, making his body and even his thoughts unable to move in that instant. Despicable. A painful expression appeared on his face. As early as the lightning appeared, the white-haired old woman beside him showed a proud look, and a huge dragon flew out of the crutch in her hand, attacking Lu Xuan like lightning. The thunder thread clothes she separated can indeed help several people easily pass through the thunder waterfall and resist the thunder, but there is a hidden trick in it, which can control the thunder thread clothes at a critical moment and seize the initiative. I'm really sorry fellow Daoist Lu, not only will the spiritual liquid on the green vine belong to me, but the one in your hand must not be left behind. She conveyed a thought with her spiritual consciousness. Just when the dragon was about to touch Lu Xuan, the sound of the dragon roared, and the rolling sound waves hit, repelling the dragon in one fell swoop. I have long felt that this tattered thunder thread close is a hindrance. Lu Xuan emerged from the thunder light, grabbed with one hand, and easily tore off the thunder thread clothes draped on his body. With a light rub of his crystal-like jade fingers, it turned into dust all over the sky. His body was already extremely strong, and after swallowing the TSUI meat, his self-healing ability was even stronger than before, almost to the point where his flesh turned white in an instant. The lightning from the thunder threaded clothes had little effect on him. I wore it before, just to maintain the meager friendship between the Taoist friends. Now, it seems that there is no need. He looked at the white-haired old woman with indifference and said coldly, I didn't expect that the spiritual plant master was just your hidden identity. You hid it so well. A strong spiritual pressure surged from the white-haired old woman's body, blocking the heavy dragon roar outside, and looked at Lu Xuan with a surprised expression. However, no matter how deep you hide, your late foundation building cultivation is clear. It's just not that easy to deal with you. Although Lu Xuan's physical strength was beyond her expectations, she still had enough confidence in herself. After all, cultivators who can fight across levels in the cultivation world are as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns, and each small realm represents a huge gap. She quickly made hand seals with both hands, which turned into a lot of after images. Soon, a dark lightning quietly penetrated into the lightning and rushed towards Lu Xuan. It was extremely fast and came to Lu Xuan in a flash. You have nothing against the power of the spiritual plant master. Lu Xuan used the pupil technique to break delusion. The mysterious dark lightning could not escape his eyes. A sword flashed, and a peacock with full Buddhist spirit easily killed the dark lightning. Chapter 588, Yamu Green Thunder Vine. A dazzling golden broadsword appeared in his hand, and the shadow of a four-armed bodhisattva vaguely appeared on the sword body, solemn and majestic. It was the 5th grade flying sword, the Peacocking Sword, that emerged from the Sword Peacock Light group. It is said that it was made of the feathers of the peacock under the command of the Peacocking, the Buddha of the Buddhist world, and has a strong restraining effect on this kind of yin thunder. 5th grade flying sword. You, a spiritual plant master, actually have such a treasure. The white-haired old woman was almost mad with jealousy. She didn't expect that Lu Xuan, the most inconspicuous of the 5, actually had such a rare treasure on him. Her eyes were half fearful and half fiery. She was afraid of the powerful terror of the 5th grade flying sword, but also wanted to snatch it from Lu Xuan. Soon, desire overcame reason. If the 5th grade flying sword appeared in the hands of a giant and cultivator, or even a cultivator who had also completed the foundation building, she would immediately turn around and leave without any hesitation. But it was different in Lu Xuan's hands. A cultivator in the late stage of foundation building possessed such a treasure, which was no different from a child holding gold and flaunting it in the market. How could she not be tempted? In the heart of the white-haired old woman, it was much more difficult to defeat Lu Xuan. However, compared with the 5th grade flying sword and the green vine spirit liquid, this risk was still worth it. A trace of determination flashed in her eyes. She took out a dark yellow stone jar from the storage bag, bit her tongue hard, and shot a burst of blood into the stone jar. In an instant, a strange buzzing sound came from the stone jar, and the sound made people dizzy, as if it was going to overturn the stone jar directly. The white-haired old woman's mind moved, and she tried to control the stone jar in front of her. In an instant, hundreds of strange and ferocious monster insects flew out of the stone jar. Destroy it. She pointed at Lu Xuan from a distance, and suddenly, all the ferocious monster insects circled and danced, attacking Lu Xuan from all directions. This old witch actually raised so many demon insects. Lu Xuan's spiritual sense swept over the hundreds of insects, and the strength of these hundreds of insects was extraordinary. Among them, there were no less than 20 of the 3rd grade level, and 3 of the 4th grade level. Under such an attack, even a cultivator who had completed the foundation building would probably be drowned in this sea of insects. He easily retreated several feet, and threw out several talismans. Use more to defeat fear, right? The sword intent gushed out from the surface of the talisman, and in an instant, fine sword energy appeared all over his body, covering all the strange demon insects. The sword intent here was like a huge wave, surging and sweeping. Dozens of demon insects were like a small boat. The sword energy waves hit them hard, and instantly turned them into countless debris. The sword intent over there was like the sun in the sky, and the red and yellow sword energy was like dense rays of light. The demon insects within the sword energy range seemed to have their minds taken away. They stood there in a daze, eroded by countless sword energy. There was also a powerful sword energy like a meteor, like an antelope hanging its horns, drawing many wonderful arcs, directly piercing the bodies of one demon insect after another. Hundreds of powerful demon insects were all eliminated in a few breaths under the joint attack of 5 4th grade sword talismans. Puff. The white-haired old woman spit out a large mouthful of blood. Half of it was because she had a telepathic connection with those demon insects, and they were all killed in a short period of time, which hurt her a lot. The other half was because she was angry. These demon insects were not easy to collect, and she spent a lot of time and energy to cultivate them. They had made many contributions to her in the past. Unexpectedly, in front of Lu Xuan, they were all killed so easily by a few talismans. While she was regretful, she completely understood that she was no match for Lu Xuan. Her mind turned quickly, and she spit another mouthful of blood on the dragon head crutch. Suddenly, a phantom of a dragon shot out from it with lightning, riding on the clouds and mist, and took her to the distance. In an instant, it was 100 feet away. Just when she thought she had a glimmer of hope, a grey-white pupil suddenly appeared in front of her. A lot of illusion suddenly emerged in her eyes, and her movements froze. In just such a moment, the old woman who was trying to regain her clarity of mind felt a silver-white spike flash through her sea of consciousness. A sharp pain came, as if it was going to split her head in two. Then, her head suddenly relaxed, and a four-armed bodhisattva phantom was high above her, as if overlooking her, and the distance between the two was getting farther and farther. Lu Xuan turned into a stream of light, and rushed to the headless body of the white-haired old woman, grabbing her head that was about to fall to the ground. With very familiar movements, he took out a strange lantern, and the dark red lamp tassel at the base of the lantern shook, pulling the residual soul of the white-haired old woman into the lantern, and squeezed together with the countless ghosts and resentments in the pale candle. Then, the soul guiding lamp rotated around the thunder pool, sucking the souls of those monster insects into it. No way. The spiritual plants in the underworld at home have too much demand for the resentment of ghosts. We can't waste any of it. Lu Xuan sighed in his heart as he looked at the thick layer of souls in the candle. The phantom of the dragon was not controlled by anyone, and it turned into a dragon-headed cane and fell down. A top-grade 4th grade magic weapon should be able to sell a lot of spiritual stones. But this magic weapon is too personal, so you have to be more careful when you use it. Lu Xuan checked the dragon-headed cane, took off the storage bag on the waist of the white-haired old woman, and did not forget to put the corpse into the gluttonous insect bag. The flesh and blood of a cultivator who has completed the foundation building is still very valuable. He did not rush to break the restrictions on the surface of the storage bag and check the things inside. Since the white-haired old woman can find this place, then the other people have the same possibility. In order to avoid more trouble, it is better to deal with the current magical green vine spiritual plant as soon as possible. Lu Xuan dealt with the mess and put his attention back to the green vine in the thunder pool. There was a rumble, and the figure of Lei Gigan quietly emerged. "Thank you for reminding me before." Lu Xuan clasped his fists towards it and said gratefully. In this sky full of thunder, the ability of the Void Nightmare was greatly affected. Just now, he collected the blue spirit liquid, but it was Lei Gigan who discovered the breath of the white-haired old woman in advance, and reminded him before avoiding it. Lei Gigan laughed strangely, like thunder exploding, and then turned into wisps of thunder spirit breath and disappeared. In Lu Xuan's mind perception, it will check the surrounding situation for him and remind him immediately if there is any abnormality. He came to the edge of the thunder pool, and his spiritual consciousness went all the way down and found that the huge green vine was rooted in the endless thunder. He successively performed the spirit rain technique and the wood birth technique, and his mind was focused on the huge green vine. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind, and he instantly understood the details of the spiritual plant. Yimuking Leiteng, a 7th grade spiritual plant, grows in the Sea of Thunder, and is nourished by the 5 element of wood spirit thunder. During the growth process, it will condense the 5th grade Yimu Lei liquid. After taking it, it can assist the gradual thunder system skills and magical powers, and improve the strength of the physical body. When the spiritual plant matures, the Yimuking fruit produced can change the root bones of the cultivator and have a strong talent in thunder magic. It is destruction, but also creation. 7th grade spiritual plant. The thought disappeared, and Lu Xuan's eyes widened. Although he was prepared that the spiritual plant in front of him might be extraordinary, he didn't expect that it was a 7th grade spiritual plant that he had never had before. I want to plant it. He couldn't help but have such an extremely strong thought in his mind. Chapter 589. Just one. So far, the highest grade of spiritual plants in the cave spiritual field is the 6th grade, which are the 6th grade phoenix tree, Yuanxi spiritual wood, Zhui thunder fruit, and the mysterious fangbone demon seed. He tried his best to collect them, which shows how rare the 7th grade spiritual plants are. Lu Xuan was excited and summoned the demon ghost vine and ordered, "Search carefully for me, and see if you can find a spiritual seed produced by this green vine. Find it and you will be rewarded." The demon ghost vine sensed Lu Xuan's thoughts, and the grey and white vines derived many tentacles and branches, densely packed, climbing all the way, and sniffing around the green vine. It's hard to find one. After a long time, the demon ghost vine didn't find anything. Seeing this, Lu Xuan sighed faintly. Whether in the previous life or this life, rare seeds are rare things, and you have to try every means to get the seeds you like. Teng's search results are not ideal. Just as his thoughts were floating, suddenly, many vines of the demon ghost vine gathered frantically and gathered at the edge of the thunder pool. You mean, there is a thing at the bottom of this thunder pool that is the same source as the Yimuking vine? Lu Xuan sensed the idea conveyed by the demon ghost vine and was delighted. He looked into the depths of the thunder pool with his eyes, and his eyes were blank. He didn't know how many powerful thunders were hidden in the thunder pool. At this moment, a branch of the demon ghost vine's tentacles quickly extended and drilled into the depths of the thunder pool. There was a crackling sound. The silver-white lightning on the surface of the vine was like a group of snakes running around. The numerous thunders made the demon ghost vines tremble constantly. "Do you want me to go down by myself?" Lu Xuan looked at the bottomless thunder pool, hesitating whether to explore it deeply and look for spiritual seeds. A strange laugh sounded in his ears, and the Thunder Ghost Lord came over and conveyed a thought to Lu Xuan. "You mean, you can protect the demon ghost vine to enter the depths of the thunder pool?" The Thunder Ghost Lord nodded heavily. "Okay, you can try it." Lu Xuan himself did not have the ability to sense spiritual seeds, so he could only let the demon ghost vine explore the thunder pool alone. Lei Gigan raised his hands high and slapped them hard on the big drum tumor on his waist. Thunder roared. Its body turned into countless lightnings, tightly wrapped around a branch of the demon ghost vine, and quickly probed into the thunder pool. Lu Xuan waited anxiously outside for a long time. Fortunately, in his mind, the demon ghost vine next to him did not show any abnormality, so he was relieved to let it continue to search for spiritual seeds in the depths of the thunder pool. After a while, there was a rustling sound, and the tentacle branch with silver-white liquid suddenly drilled out of the thunder pool. It quickly came to Lu Xuan, and the tightly shrunken vine unfolded, revealing a ball of green light inside. In the green light, you can vaguely see a series of green thunderfish swimming like fish. Is this the Yimuking vine spiritual seed? Lu Xuan reached out to take it and planted it in the spiritual soil. Yimuking vine spiritual seed, 7th grade spiritual plant. Sure enough, Lu Xuan laughed heartily. Come on. For your contribution in finding the seeds, each of you will be rewarded with 5 thunderstorm lotus seeds. He was extremely happy and took out 10 silver white lotus seeds. The demon ghost vine and thunder ghost lord each received 5. There is also the yummy thunder liquid condensed on it, a 5th grade treasure that can temper the body. You must pick it all and take it back. He came to the stone pillar lightly and carefully searched every piece of the green vine. Finally, he found 6 bowls of the blue spiritual liquid. Together with the previous one, he found a total of 7 bowls, which was a great harvest. It's time to go back. He looked at the green vine in the thunder pool that went straight into the sky and thought to himself, it is already extremely lucky to be able to enter this island and obtain the 7th grade spiritual seeds. The further we go, the more difficult the restrictions will be. Even with Lei Gigang as a guide, we may get lost or even fall into the restrictions. What's more, according to Lei Gigang, there are extremely terrifying beings sleeping on the 2 thunder islands behind. Lu Xuan has self-knowledge. Although his current strength is not weaker than that of ordinary early giant and cultivators, it is still far from enough in front of those powerful beings. Thank you very much this time for helping me find so many rare spiritual seeds. He gently patted Lei Gigang's green flesh wings. Without it to lead the way, there would be no way to easily find the 5 thunder twin flowers and yummy green thunder vine spiritual seeds. Not to mention anything else, those restrictions would be able to restrain him for a long time, and it would be impossible for him to reach the thunder pool one step ahead of the white-haired old woman. He waved to Lei Gigan. See you later. If you can come to the medicine garden next time, I will bring you some thunder spiritual fruits. After that, he took the demon ghost vine and entered the vast thunder and lightning without looking back. There was a rumbling thunder in his ears. He wondered if Lei Gigan was hiding in it to send him away. Lu Xuan rushed to the first island quickly. On the way back, he kept observing the surrounding situation with his spiritual sense and the void nightmare eyes. I saw someone familiar. He stopped and saw a cultivator with thunder wings tossing back and forth in the restriction with his grey-white pupils. Lei Zeng, is he trapped in the restriction? Lu Xuan thought quietly. When Lei Zeng came out of the restriction, he pretended to pass by and exuded a breath. Who? Lei Zeng's expression was stern, and he asked in a deep voice. Lei Dao, it's me. Lu Xuan held the wind and thunder sword and slowly walked out of the endless thunder. So it's Lu Dao, I'm glad you're safe. When Lei Zeng saw Lu Xuan, the vigilance in his eyes was reduced a little. After separating from a few Daoists, I was trapped in the restriction for almost the entire time. It was not easy to get out. By the way, why don't you see the other Daoists? Lu Xuan asked with a smile. I'm not sure either. There are too many restrictions in this medicine garden. If you're not careful, you'll fall into them. Since we've met fellow Daoist Lu here, then fellow Daoist Lu, follow me. Lei Zeng said sternly. Okay, then I'll ask fellow Daoist Lei to take care of me. I'm just an ordinary spiritual plant master. It's hard for me to get out of the medicine garden safely without the help of fellow Daoist. Lu Xuan kept a low profile. He walked in front, and Lei Zeng followed behind, and they rushed to the first Thunder Island together. Lei Zeng looked at Lu Xuan's back in front, and a hint of hesitation flashed in his eyes. Lu Xuan was just a spiritual plant master, and his cultivation was one level lower than his. If he was attacked from behind, it would be a sure thing. He took a deep breath and finally dispelled the dirty thoughts in his mind. Lu Xuan walked in front, and it was unclear whether he was disappointed or satisfied. Although he seemed to be full of flaws, his spiritual consciousness and the nightmare eyes had already locked onto Lei Zeng. As long as he showed any sign of being unfavorable to him, he could be killed in an instant and take away the treasures on him. Unfortunately, Lei Zeng had a righteous mind and resisted the desire to kill and take the treasures, thus saving his own life. There are still good cultivators in the cultivation world. Lu Xuan secretly sighed, and his evaluation of Lei Zeng improved a bit. Chapter 590, What Big Jade Feet. Half a day has passed, and there is still no sign of Daoist Wang and Daoist Yuan. I wonder if they are trapped in some restricted area, or have left the medicine garden, or even met with an accident. Liu Ming said solemnly. On the side, Lu Xuan and Lei Zeng were silent. When the two of them went to the first Thunder Island, they met Liu Ming, who was slightly injured, and they moved with him to the edge of the medicine garden. The two Daoists are powerful and have deep blessings. They should not be in danger of life. Lu Xuan said calmly. Daoist Xuan has a strong body and can withstand thunder. His defense ability is the strongest among us. Liu Ming said in a deep voice. Lu Xuan nodded gently. Daoist Yuan is even more so. He has superb cultivation and possesses that rare walking stick magic weapon. He is the strongest and should be able to return safely. He agreed. I hope so. A sigh sounded, and the three of them followed the way they came and passed through the thunder waterfall. After more than half a day, Lu Xuan successfully returned to the cave. He circled the cave and found nothing unusual, so he opened the illusion 5-element array and entered the cave. This time, I explored the ancient medicine garden with Lei Zeng and others, and I gained a lot. He took out the spiritual seeds and spiritual medicines from the medicine garden one by one and placed them on the table. The 7th grade unimaginable spiritual seeds are priceless. Lu Xuan couldn't even imagine what kind of rich rewards would be in the light ball after they matured. 7 balls of Yemulei fluid from unimaginable vine, a 5th grade treasure, have a powerful effect of tempering the body and can also assist in practicing thunder-related skills and magical powers. It is also very valuable. 6-5 Thunder Twin Flower Spiritual Seeds. 5th grade spiritual seeds. Although there are already many 5th grade spiritual plants in the cave, but getting 6 at once still makes Lu Xuan very surprised. 30 Thunderstorm Lotus Seeds. 4th grade spiritual medicine. 3 sections of thunder hidden vines. 4th grade materials. Can all be worth a lot of spiritual stones. A large amount of silver white sand and gravel collected from the Thunder Island. In addition, there was the dragon-headed cane magic weapon of the white-haired old woman. After cracking the storage bag, there were still many magic weapons and elixirs inside, as well as more than 400 medium-grade spirit stones and several low-grade spirit stones, which was also a large amount of unexpected wealth. Compared with these, the corpses and souls of the perfect foundation building cultivators were nothing. With so many precious spirit seeds, I can stay in the cave to cultivate spirit plants with peace of mind. Lu Xuan sighed. This time, the reason why he was willing to explore the secret realm with Lei Zeng and others was that he was attracted by the reputation of the ancient medicine garden to see if he could find some high-level rare spirit seeds from it. The medicine garden really did not disappoint him, and he got peerless spirit seeds such as Yemikingloi. He came to the spiritual field and looked at the many vibrant spirit plants. His anxious mood, which had returned from the Sea of Thunder, slowly calmed down. Exploring the secret realm is indeed fruitful, but that is entirely based on the premise of constantly harvesting light balls and strengthening oneself. Even if the treasures are sufficient and the strength is strong enough, there are more or less unknown risks. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. Although harvesting light balls is also unknown, one represents risk and the other represents a generous reward, which is completely different. Wang Yan's Hang is likely to die at the hands of Liu Ming. After the three of them reunited, Lu Xuan smelled the same smell from Liu Ming's words. In this way, 5 people entered the medicine garden together, and 2 people were killed. With a mortality rate of half, exploring the secret realm is really dangerous. Lu Xuan came to the spiritual field, and the spiritual power in his body surged. The clouds above the spiritual field condensed and surged. Immediately, strands of spiritual rain fell down and landed on Lu Xuan's face, bringing a hint of coolness and soothing the heat in his heart. More than 300 water fireflies have grown a section, and the blue leaves are linked together. When the breeze blows, it looks like the undulating blue waves. The fluorescent dots on the leaves are like sparkling waves, flickering. Next to them, the 7 improved ice fireflies are growing very well. There is a thin layer of frost on the edges of the leaves, and a faint cold white air rises. A faint chill can be felt from afar. Lu Xuan took good care of them, and came to the remaining 13 Tibetan yuan grasses. The corresponding method of condensing seeds flashed in his mind. The spiritual power penetrated into them and guided the vitality in the spiritual plants to condense together. If it weren't for the strong spiritual consciousness, the rich vitality in the weed-like Tibetan yuan grass plants would not be so easy to find. Slowly, a slight bulge appeared at the place where the vitality was the most concentrated, like a small bump. Lu Xuan did not dare to relax at all and continued to condense the spiritual seeds. It is not easy to condense the 3rd grade spiritual seeds. Fortunately, he can perceive the detailed status of the spiritual plants, so he can condense the spiritual seed smoothly. The remaining 3 arrow vines are not far from maturity. Xuan focused his mind on the arrow vine and found that the translucent progress bar below was about to be filled. His spiritual power changed, and he activated the instant arrow technique. Arrows of spiritual power shot out and sank into the arrow vine. Stimulated and nourished by the arrow spiritual power, many arrows that were originally sluggish stood up high, ready to go. Some arrows seemed to have unexpected changes. Xuan noticed that many arrows on the vine had slight changes from before, with faint silver-white patterns on the surface, and occasionally a glimpse of lightning as thin as hair emerged. It should be affected by the environment of the Thunder Mars cave, he speculated. The small arrows condensed by the arrow vine are closely related to the spiritual power that nourishes it. It can be said that it is extremely sensitive to the growth environment and is particularly susceptible to environmental influences. Other spiritual plants are not so easily changed. Unless they are in a strong and special environment for a long time, there is a possibility of some abnormal changes. Xuan thought in his heart and came to the small well created by Xuan Linglin. The last dragon skeleton grass is ripe. He was delighted and carefully picked the slender black grass that looked like a dragon. Dragon skeleton grass, a 5th grade spiritual plant, condensed from the essence of a real dragon skeleton. Detailed information about the dragon skeleton grass flashed through his mind, but Xuan didn't bother to take a closer look. His sight was completely attracted by the white light ball floating above the well water. He rubbed his hands with a bit of excitement and gently touched the surface of the light ball. The light ball exploded silently and turned into countless tiny light points that flowed into Xuan's body. A thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 5th grade dragon skeleton grass and obtain the 6th grade material Jade World Dragon Claw. The thought disappeared and a crystal clear Jade Dragon Claw appeared in front of him. The Dragon Claw was aura clear and spotless. When you get close to it, you can feel a sense of freshness and nature, which makes people want to get close to it. What's going on? How come I got such a jade foot from the ball of light right after returning to the cave? Well, it's just a little bigger. Xuan stretched his hand to the dragon's claw and compared it to one of its toes. He wondered in his heart. Chapter 591 Jade Dragon Claw. His mind was focused on this huge dragon claw that was as glittering as jade. Suddenly, detailed information about it appeared in Xuan's mind. The Jade Dragon Claw, a 6th grade material, comes from the 6th grade alien dragon, the Jade Dragon. It has both hardness and sharpness, and can easily tear apart a 5th grade magic weapon. At the same time, it contains a trace of the special properties of the Jade Dragon, and has a powerful evil repelling effect. It has a strong restraining effect on evil demons and monsters. It can be used directly, or it can be forged into a 6th grade magic weapon, and refined into a magic weapon. 6th grade material, that is already in the middle and late stages of the Jinden. This jade foot is worth a lot. Xuan was happy inside. He looked around, and his spiritual power controlled the Jade Dragon Claw, and gently scratched a huge stone. There was no resistance at all, and the stone broke very easily, and the crack was smooth. The jade foot is really hard enough. Xuan sighed in his heart and took out a 4th grade spiritual ore from the storage bag. The Jade Dragon Claw scratched it, leaving several deep claw marks on it easily. If the time is right, you can use it to exchange for spiritual seeds or other treasures. The 6th grade material can only play its full role when it is forged into a magic weapon. It is not very useful for him at present. If you encounter a good opportunity, you can choose to sell it. After checking all the spiritual plants in the spiritual field, Xuan came to the core area of the cave. The high-level spiritual plants he planted, and those evil spiritual plants were all in this area, separated by formations, and divided into 2 parts with different styles. Xuan found a spiritual field, spread a thick layer of silver white sandstone from the medicine garden, and carefully planted 6 thunder twin flowers and Yimikingla vine spiritual seeds. Take out 5 element thunder beads, and extract thunder rays of the same size from them. 5 subtle thunder rays merged into the spiritual seeds, and the clouds surged. Threads of spiritual rain penetrated into the interior of the spiritual seeds, nourishing them to the fullest. He followed the same method and continued to plant and cultivate the remaining 5 thunder twin flowers. 4 unimaginable. In the initial growth stage, ordinary wood type spiritual thunder should be enough. When it reaches a certain level, the grade and type of spiritual thunder required will probably be quite high. Xuan felt the light ball of the green thunder and sighed secretly. At present, there are already quite a few high-level spiritual plants of the thunder attribute in the spiritual field. There are 6 5th grade 5 thunder twin flowers, in addition to the 6th grade crepe myrtle thunder fruit and his 7th grade unimaginable. In the future, not only will we need a lot of spiritual thunder, but also yin thunder and even divine thunder, to meet their growth needs. It's not easy to cultivate spiritual plants. At this moment, he was like a parent who wanted his children to become successful. He tried every means to meet the growth conditions of spiritual plants and provide them with a good growth environment. Fortunately, one thing is certain, they will definitely become useful after being cultivated, and there is no need to worry about ending up with a mediocre result. He entered the underworld spiritual field area and calmly checked the situation of the spiritual plants in the gusts of gloomy wind. Taking out pieces of flesh and blood from the gluttonous insect sac, the resentment of the ghosts, so that many evil spiritual plants were fully satisfied. The flesh spirit followed behind him, jumping and hopping. When Xuan was done, he leaned against his calf and rubbed it continuously. Don't worry, you won't be missing. Xuan couldn't help laughing. How could this pale red meatball in front of him have a trace of the evil spirit of the disaster level? He took out a large piece of 4th grade monster flesh from the gluttonous insect sac and threw it at the pale red meatball. As soon as the monster meat appeared, the layers of flesh on the surface of the flesh spirit's body floated like water grass, revealing a small mouth with sharp teeth inside. Hundreds of pounds of monster meat turned into a puff of blood mist in the air, like a whale sucking water, and all merged into the body of the flesh spirit. The breath has changed a lot. Xuan noticed that the breath of this big meatball suddenly rose. With a thought, the flesh spirit turned into a light red stream of light and shot into the distance. Soon it returned to his feet, and a blood light spurted out from the top of his head, dancing rapidly around the meatball, changing in thousands of ways, revealing a faint bloody breath. Under Xuan's instruction, the blood light came to the outer area of the cave, and circled around an ordinary spiritual grass. Large patches of blood soon appeared on the spiritual grass, which continued to spread and turned into a pool of bloody mud in a few breaths. This blood light seems to have a strong ability to pollute. Xuan thought secretly in his heart. In his mind, the flesh spirit god now has the strength equivalent to that of a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building. The blood light even faintly revealed the embryonic form of blood path magical powers, with amazing potential. It is worthy of being a disaster level evil spirit. It has grown to the strength of the foundation building realm in just a few years, and has mastered an evil magic. Xuan sighed leisurely. However, he was not worried that he might be attacked by this disaster level evil spirit in the future. After all, no matter how fast the flesh spirit god grows, it is not faster than him who has the light ball reward. What's more, he and the flesh spirit god have signed a contract with each other and can clearly grasp its specific state in detail. Under various factors, he can completely control this juvenile disaster level evil spirit. After cultivating the many evil spiritual plants in the underworld spiritual field, Xuan withdrew, smiling and with clear eyes. There was no sign of planting a large number of evil spiritual plants. The days of farming in the cave always passed quickly. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. During this half month, Xuan had been staying in the cave, cultivating spiritual plants, raising spiritual beasts, practicing martial arts, and refining elixirs in his spare time. It was simple and boring, but fulfilling and busy. On this day, he stood in the spiritual field and carefully dug out a grey-brown slender spiritual seed from a weed. The weed was naturally a 3rd grade Zanguan grass. After a period of condensation, it finally condensed successfully. Since he had the intention of planting Zanguan grass in batches, he left 13 plants for condensation. 3 to 5 spiritual seeds were condensed on each Zanguan grass, totaling 53. The Zanguan grass light group can produce foundation building pills, foundation building pill recipes, and soul gathering grass beads. Each of them has great practical value for Xuan at present. The Kangyuan grass itself can also be used to refine the foundation building pill, which complements the light ball and can maximize the benefits of Lu Xuan's alchemy level close to perfection. Each spirit seed looks ordinary, but when the spirit sense is carefully scanned, it can sense that the spirit seed contains rich plant essences in its depths. It is as small as a needle tip and is extremely easy to ignore. After a little processing, we can start planting in a while, increase the production of Kangyuan grass, and improve the level of refining foundation building pills. When it reaches the master level, it can give the alchemists in Xiangxing Cave a little shock. Lu Xuan was content. If you sit at home, your alchemy will naturally increase. I wanted to get along with you as an ordinary spirit plant master, but what I got in return was alienation. I won't pretend anymore. I'm the master of alchemy. He raised his eyebrows and thought secretly. Chapter 592, Lightning Bow Cloud Bamboo Arrow Formation. Another month passed. On this day, Lu Xuan came to the spiritual field and performed the earth-inducing technique to induce subtle changes in the structure of the spiritual soil. Then he took out more than 50 Tibetan yuan grass spiritual seeds and planted them one by one in the spiritual soil. Threads of spiritual rain fell and seeped into the spiritual seeds. Lu Xuan felt the spiritual seeds gradually being moistened, and his eyes softened. Dao Iao Lu. The familiar voice of the one-eyed middle-aged man Luoming came from outside the cave. Lu Xuan hurriedly went out to greet him. I passed by Dao Iao's cave today, so I wanted to come and visit you. How is Dao Iao Lu these days? The one-eyed middle-aged man asked with a smile. Dao Iao Lu cares about me, and it's not bad. I cultivate flowers and plants every day, and play with spiritual beasts. Lu Xuan answered casually. He led the one-eyed middle-aged man into the courtyard and served him spiritual fruits and tea. By the way, fellow Daoist Lu, I plan to go to the Sea of Thunder in a while. I wonder if you are willing to explore it together? Last time I went into the medicine garden with you, we got along well. You have gained some trust in fellow Daoist Lu, so I came here to invite you. If we go in together again, sooner or later one of us will disappear silently. Lu Xuan thought to himself that Wang Yanzhang's inexplicable disappearance before was probably related to the one-eyed middle-aged man in front of him. Of course, the white-haired old woman had little to do with him. After all, he was just passively resisting. He could only blame her for not being able to resist. I wonder what the origin of the secret realm we entered this time. Lu Xuan asked curiously. It is mainly to hunt a special kind of monster beast. That kind of monster beast has been stimulated by spiritual thunder for a long time, and a special thunder core has condensed in its body. The effect is somewhat similar to that of a monster pill, and each one is worth a lot of spiritual stones. The one-eyed middle-aged man talked freely. Hunting monster beasts. Lu Xuan heard the words, and the slightest interest he had in him disappeared at once. If it was related to spiritual plants and seeds, he might still hesitate, but if it was about hunting monsters, then I would not accompany you. Fellow Daoist Luo, I'm sorry I can't go with you. Last time I entered that medicine garden, I was lucky and came out safely, but if I were to go hunting monsters, with my cultivation strength, I don't think it would be easy to get out of it. I'm very sorry. Lu Xuan declined. It's okay, but after deciding to explore the secret realm, I thought of fellow Daoist Lu. If fellow Daoist Lu doesn't want to, I will invite other fellow Daoists. The one-eyed middle-aged man waved his hand and said indifferently. Thank you, fellow Daoist Luo, for thinking of me. Lu Xuan bowed his hands. Of course, I'm thinking of you too. He added in his heart. With the style of the one-eyed middle-aged man, when it comes to interests, he may take action against himself. If he doesn't go, it can be regarded as saving his life. The one-eyed middle-aged man stayed for a while, then said goodbye and left. Lu Xuan watched the figure disappear into the sky and continued to the spiritual field, examining the many spiritual plants one by one. 2 arrow vines have matured. He looked at the completely full translucent progress bar below the arrow vine and was happy. He reached out and carefully took out one of them. The 4th grade mutant arrow vine is cultivated with a large amount of arrow spiritual power. After maturity, it can instantly stimulate many arrows of different forms and functions. When encountering a strong enemy, it can trigger a volley of thousands of arrows, which can severely injure or even kill a cultivator in the middle and late stages of foundation building. After the arrows are released, they can be replenished with plant spiritual energy and recondensed. The information about the mutant arrow vine flashed by, and Lu Xuan's eyes fell on the light ball that emerged. With a light touch, the light ball exploded silently, turned into a bow and arrow phantom, and instantly drilled into Lu Xuan's body. Harvest a 4th grade mutant arrow vine, and obtain the 4th grade magic weapon, the lightning bow. The thought flashed, and a strange golden bow and arrow appeared in front of Lu Xuan. The bow and arrow were engraved with a large number of mysterious and obscure runes. The bow was smooth and the bowstring was made of some kind of dragon monster's tendons and skin. It was very tough and even Lu Xuan couldn't tear it apart with his great strength. His mind was focused on the golden bow and arrow. Suddenly, detailed information about the bow and arrow magic weapon appeared in Lu Xuan's mind. The lightning bow is a 4th grade magic weapon. Inputting spiritual power can quickly generate powerful arrows. After the arrows are activated, they are as fast as lightning and have a strong piercing effect. They can instantly penetrate the heads of monsters several miles away. It works better when paired with special spiritual arrows. 4th grade bow and arrow magic weapons are quite rare. Lu Xuan thought to himself. Although he didn't get a 5th grade treasure, this 4th grade lightning bow is already quite good. At least, it is a good supplement to his long range attack power. He put the peculiar shaped lightning bow into his storage bag, and couldn't wait to take out another mature arrow vine. This one is of good quality. His spiritual consciousness subconsciously scanned it, and this second arrow vine gave him an unexpected surprise. He had already figured out some rules of the light balls. When the spiritual plants of the same species mature, they will have higher quality, and it is possible to get more generous rewards from the light balls. Therefore, he looked at the second white light ball with a strong look of expectation. He reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball, and the light ball silently shattered. Countless tiny light points condensed and changed in the air, and finally formed a bamboo sea phantom, which sank into Lu Xuan's body. Or thought followed closely, and emerged from his mind. Harvest a 4th grade mutant arrow vine, and obtain the 5th grade formation, the cloud bamboo arrow formation. The thought disappeared, and an exquisite formation plate appeared in front of Lu Xuan. There were formation flags floating around the formation plate, with various complex formation patterns drawn on them. Inside the formation plate, it was like a dense bamboo forest, towering into the clouds, with bamboo bodies surrounded by spiritual light, faintly forming a special formation. He focused his mind on the formation plate and instantly learned detailed information about this 5th grade formation. Cloud bamboo arrow formation, a 5th grade formation. When refining the formation plate, a large amount of the essence of the 4th grade piercing cloud bamboo is integrated into it. After the formation is laid, an illusion of a sea of clouds and bamboo forest can be formed. The formation has the effects of both illusion and attack. After entering it, you will enter the bamboo sea world, and your mind will gradually become lost. If you stay in the formation for a long time, you will even turn into a strange bamboo in the bamboo forest. When breaking the formation, various powerful arrows will be stimulated from the inside of the formation, which is mysterious and unpredictable. 5th grade formation. Lu Xuan showed an extremely satisfied smile on his face. He opened countless rewards from the light ball. Formation treasures are relatively rare. I remember that it has only been opened 3 times. They were the 1000 illusion cloud smoke formation from the illusion smoke LUO fruit, the 3rd grade flowing light talisman formation from the flowing light wood, and the 5th grade illusion 5 element formation from the 5 element fruit. This shows how rare the rewards of the formation are. Unexpectedly, today, a powerful 5th grade formation was opened again from the light ball of this mutant arrow vine. The illusionary 5 element formation, plus the newly acquired cloud bamboo arrow formation. The cave is guarded by 2 5th grade formations, which serves as a double insurance. It is estimated that a few ordinary cultivators in the early giant stage will not be able to break out of the formation in a short period of time. They may even die in it. Lu Xuan thought secretly, and felt a sense of security in his heart regarding the spiritual plants in the cave. Chapter 593, The Killing Sword Sutra. After obtaining the 5th grade cloud bamboo arrow array, Xuan could not suppress his curiosity and came to the outside of the cave. The surging spiritual power poured into the array plate, and the array flags flew to different positions on the edge of the cave. The spiritual patterns on the flags swam and disappeared in an instant. A thick sea of clouds soon appeared outside the cave. As the sea of clouds rolled, strange bamboos towering into the clouds loomed, and a faint sound of rustling came. The 5th grade array has double protection to ensure that no evil monsters and insects invade the cave and damage the spiritual plants. A satisfied smile appeared on Xuan's face. He saw that the last arrow vine was not far from maturity, so he simply used King Mu Yuan Ki to ripen it. Now he has accumulated a lot of spiritual grass beads in his hand, which can replenish King Mu Yuan Ki in time, and he is full of confidence to use it. After picking the arrow vine, Xuan gently touched the white light ball that quietly emerged. Countless light spots turned into a white arrow phantom and instantly poured into his body. Harvest a 4th grade mutant arrow vine, and obtain the 5th grade treasure nail head arrow. The thought flashed through his mind, and a small dark arrow appeared in his hand. There was a faint black gas lingering on the surface of the small arrow, which swam slowly like a slender black snake. The arrowhead seemed to be nailed to a translucent human face, whose facial features were blurred and could not be seen clearly. His mind was focused on this dark arrow, and a piece of information emerged in his mind. The nail-headed arrow is a 5th grade treasure. It contains a powerful curse power. When using it, you can imagine the target's appearance, breath, etc., and directly act on its soul. Cultivators below the Jindan realm will die on the spot. Cultivators in the Jindan realm have a certain probability of death depending on factors such as cultivation, soul strength, and treasures. At the least, their souls will be damaged, and at the worst, their souls will be scattered. Another 5th grade nail-headed arrow. The treasure that the last arrow vine produced made Xuan satisfied. A cursed treasure, no need to fight with people head on. For him who has been hiding in the cave, it is a treasure to seduce people. So far, the 4 arrow vines that were searched from the newly opened, blessed land have all matured. Xuan harvested 2 5th grade nail-head arrows, a 4th grade magic weapon, the lightning bow, and a 5th grade formation, the cloud bamboo arrow formation, from the light ball. Each reward was quite good, he thought, and the grass puppet that was patrolling the spiritual field stepped on 2 slender grass legs and rushed towards Xuan. On its slender arms woven from grey grass, a blue-black vine was entangled. Arrows of different sizes and shapes extended from the vines, adding a bit of fierceness to the grass puppet that originally looked a little silly. Here, these 3 arrow vines are also given to you. If you encounter any demon beast monks who try to sneak into the cave in the future, use these 4 arrow vines to shoot them to death with arrows. Xuan instructed the grass puppet. Although the grass puppet was not very intelligent, it still understood this simple command clearly, and its large and somewhat deformed grey grass head nodded heavily. 3 grey grasses shot out of the body, pulling 3 vines, and wrapping around the body. Arrows of different sizes protruded from it, making it look somewhat similar to a hedgehog. Haha, the strongest straw man. Xuan couldn't help laughing, and threw a spirit-absorbing grass bead to the straw puppet, letting it continue to patrol the spiritual field. The arrow vines wrapped around the upper body of the straw puppet made its 2 slender legs look even more weird, and it looked fragile. But if a foundation building cultivator saw it, he would definitely feel envious and jealous. A grass spirit puppet has 4 special vines equivalent to 4th grade magic tools. What's the point of practicing? Exclamation mark. After harvesting the arrow vines, many spiritual plants in the cave entered a stable growth stage. After a while, Xuan planted more than 50 Tibetan yuan grass spirit seeds and began to cultivate them. Half a year passed in a blink of an eye. The spiritual field was lush and full of vitality. Xuan stood in the ridges of the spiritual field and checked the detailed status of the spiritual plants one by one to ensure that each spiritual plant could be fully nourished. In the past 6 months, he did not explore the secret realm or anything like that, and spent most of his time in the cave. Occasionally, he went out, either to the star-picking tower, to replenish some of the needs for cultivation, or to have a small gathering with several familiar monks in the Thunder Mars cave. During this period, He also went to the Thunder Sea twice, but basically he was active in the outer area, and after collecting some spiritual thunder, he was satisfied and left. The demand for spiritual thunder of the several thunder-type spiritual plants in the spiritual field is not large enough at present, and some common spiritual thunder can meet their current growth needs, so there is no need to spend too much thought for the time being. He came to the swordgrass spiritual field area, stood in front of the white bone-killing swordgrass that looked like a slender bone sword, and sank into the sword intent around the swordgrass. With a swoosh, a murderous sword energy shot out from his fingertips, stirring the surrounding sword intent. Suddenly, the murderous intent was overwhelming, making Lu Xuan feel like he was on the battlefield. There were densely packed enemies around him, and there were broken limbs and arms everywhere, and dark red blood was flowing, dyeing the whole world red. Lu Xuan controlled the sword energy of killing, like mowing the grass, and easily killed the enemies around him one by one. Thousands of times of sword control experience, he gradually had a kind of enlightenment in his heart, and the sword heart helped him summarize and conclude, and the sword energy was faintly revealed in the flying of the sword energy. Finally, I have initially comprehended the corresponding sword tactics. Lu Xuan opened his eyes and raised the corners of his mouth. The 5th grade white bone killing swordgrass was bred in the sword pool of the Xianji insect, and there was no corresponding cultivation sword tactic. After planting the spirit seed, Lu Xuan could only use the killing sword intent contained in the spirit seed to cultivate the swordgrass from scratch. Fortunately, he had obtained the treasure of the sword heart before, which made him have an understanding of the sword way that was no less than those sword geniuses, so he was able to explore a relatively complete set of sword tactics. White bone killing sword grass, then the sword tactic is called killing sword sutra. Lu Xuan whispered in his heart. The sword scripture that he has mastered is probably at the 4th grade stage. In order to successfully cultivate this 5th grade sword grass, he needs to continue to comprehend and study it. When it is perfected into the 5th grade sword scripture, the white bone killing sword grass will mature smoothly. As for the other sword grass of split light and escape shadow, since it was cultivated relatively late, the difficulty of comprehending the sword intent of split light is slightly higher than that of killing sword intent, so it only has a rough prototype. However, with the assistance of the sword heart of clarity and his exquisite control of the sword grass, Lu Xuan is confident that he can comprehend the corresponding sword formula. When these ordinary sword grasses mature, we can condense some sword grass spirit seeds, and then try to improve them, and find a way to get higher grade sword grasses. Lu Xuan looked at the 20 or so 2nd grade sword grasses next to him and thought secretly. When he moved out of the Xianji insect, he went to the sword hall to apply for some ordinary sword grass spirit seeds. This kind of sword grass has no difficulty in application, and it is easy to get a lot of spirit seeds. In addition, the grade is low, and it only has a pure sharp nature, so there is a lot of room for improvement. In addition, he has mastered the method of condensing the seeds of the 2nd grade sword grass, and can obtain spiritual seeds in batches, so he can try to induce improvements. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 594 Star Envoy. In his decades of cultivating spiritual plants, Lu Xuan had a very good impression of swordgrass. The light bowl reward from each swordgrass is among the best among the spiritual plants of the same level, and there are even rare treasures such as the Tongming sword heart and the Peacock King sword. In addition, in the process of cultivating swordgrass, one can also improve swordsmanship and improve one's sword cultivation, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. He had a general idea of how to induce and improve swordgrass. One is to use the mysterious Yangtze sword sheath. Although the sword sheath is currently open to the harem and changes to a new flying sword experience every once in a while, you only need to put the swordgrass spirit seed in it and nourish it with the corresponding sword energy for several months, and you will have a high probability of getting a mutant spirit seed. Another method is to use the ubiquitous thunder in the Thunder Mars cave to see if new varieties of swordgrass can be stimulated. He looked at the many swordgrasses that were about to mature and thought to himself, when he was cultivating another 2 4th grade sword peacocks and blow lotus sword grasses, a familiar voice came from outside the cave. Is Daoist fellow Lu in the cave? The voice was brief and powerful. It was Lei Zeng, who had entered the medicine garden with him earlier. Lu Xuan had a good impression of him. Daoist fellow Lei, I haven't seen you for a long time. How come you have time to come to my place today? Lu Xuan turned into a stream of light and came to the edge of the cave. He opened the formation and welcomed Lei Zeng in. I have something I want to ask Daoist fellow Lu for help. Lei Zeng forced a smile on his solemn face. Please come into the cave. I have brewed a new spiritual wine recently. Daoist fellow Lei can taste it. Lu Xuan said with a smile. Then I will obey your order. Lei Zeng bowed and followed behind Lu Xuan. This is the first time I have seen Daoist fellow Lu's formation. It didn't take long to set up, did it? He looked at the bamboo forest that was faintly visible in the sea of clouds and asked. That's right. The previous formation had average protection, so I tried to get this one. Yes, it has indeed improved. With my spiritual sense, it is difficult to see inside it. It seems that fellow Daoist Lu has invested a lot of money. Lei Zeng's spiritual sense simply scanned the cloud bamboo arrow formation and saw at a glance that the formation was extraordinary. Hearing this, Lu Xuan showed a trace of helplessness on his face. There is no other way. As a spiritual plant master, almost all of my belongings are in these spiritual fields. If some monsters or robbers break in while I'm away, I will suffer heavy losses. So, Lu had to spend a lot of money to buy this formation to add some protection to the spiritual plants in the cave. Lu Xuan made up a reason casually. Indeed, the monks in Li Huaxing cave are mixed, and from time to time there are cases of killing and stealing treasures. It is not too much to be more cautious. Lei Zeng nodded and said, come, try the jade cleansing spiritual dew I just brewed. It is hard to taste elsewhere. Lu Xuan brewed a pot of jade cleansing spiritual dew for Lei Zeng. It is brewed with jade dew fruit as the main material and other spiritual fruits and liquids. He had obtained a lot of experience packages of jade washing spiritual dew formula before, so he was very familiar with brewing it, and the success rate was very high. Lei Zeng gently shook the teacup in his hand, looked at the full cup of mellow, transparent, pure and flawless liquid, and drank it in one gulp. A fragrance spread from the throat to the limbs and bones, and the whole body seemed to be washed by clear spring water, and the turbid breath remaining in the deep of the body was swept away, and there was an unprecedented sense of relaxation. This thing is wonderful, Lei Zeng said with emotion. Haha, Lei Dao I can take a bottle back later and taste it slowly in your spare time. Lu Xuan laughed. During the previous trip to the medicine garden, he deliberately exposed the flaws. Lei Zeng, who was at the perfect stage of foundation building, did not attack him, a spiritual plant master who was one level lower than him. It can be seen that he has a good character, so he was generous for once. Thank you, Lu Dao Bao. Lei Zeng was not polite, thinking about bringing something to Lu Xuan next time. By the way, I wonder what exactly Lei Dao was talking about? Lu Xuan asked. It's like this. I have been living and practicing in Li Ho Star Cave for a long time, and I got to know one of the star envoys. Star envoy? Yes, every star cave in Chiangxing Cave has a star master, who is at the nascent soul stage. In addition, there may be a nascent soul true lord as a guest of the star cave, who usually provides various cultivation resources and waits for certain critical moments to help the star cave. Under the star master, there are usually several star envoys of varying levels. Each star envoy is at the giant stage and controls the star cave on behalf of the star master and handles various affairs. The star envoy I met is called Qi Wuheng, who is at the middle stage of the giant stage. He has a flying monster bird under his command, which is a 4th grade monster beast thunder wing bird. It is extremely fast and can control the power of thunder and lightning. It is an extremely rare monster beast species. I raised that thunder wing bird for a period of time before, and that's why I became acquainted with star envoy Qi Wuheng. But what's wrong with the thunder wing bird? Lu Xuan had a rough guess. That's right. For some reason, the thunder wing bird has been very depressed recently. I have tried many ways, but failed to fundamentally solve the problem. I saw that fellow Daoist Lu has many spiritual beasts in his cave, and I guessed that you might also be good at taming beasts, so I came to ask you. Lei Zeng said in a deep voice. I'm not talented, but I do know a thing or two. Lu Xuan said with a smile. Then would fellow Daoist Lu be willing to go with me to the Star Envoy cave to have a look? Okay, then I will go with fellow Daoist Lei. Lu Xuan nodded. Qi Wuheng is one of the controllers of the Star Cave, and it might be beneficial for me to get to know him. He summoned the fat bird and sat on its broad back while Lei Zeng danced his pair of thunder wings and flew through countless fine lightning. We are here. Half a moment later, the two stopped at the edge of a tall mountain. The mountain has beautiful scenery and rich and pure spiritual energy, which is much better than the cave where Lu Xuan is. Dao Iao Lu, please wait a moment. Lei Zeng said, and then took out a communication talisman. After the spiritual power was activated, it shot into the mountain like an arrow from a bow. Crack. A crisp cry sounded, and a huge demon bird flew quickly towards Lu Xuan and the others. The demon bird was about 10 feet long, with wings spread out, 3 or 4 feet wide, and silver white feathers as sharp as swords. When it flew, it was surrounded by thunder, like thunder and lightning flying through the clouds. In a few breaths, it came in front of Lei Zeng, and its head rested on his thunder wings. The originally depressed expression showed a bit of excitement, and it was obvious that it was very affectionate to Lei Zeng. What is this plot? Lu Xuan frowned, looking at the man and the beast who had been entangled with each other, and was puzzled. When this thunder-winged bird was still a young bird, because I had a pair of thunder wings, it regarded me as an elder, so it had this reaction when it saw me. Lei Zeng seemed to see Lu Xuan's confusion and explained to him. I see. Lu Xuan nodded, and just as he was about to go up with Lei Zeng, the fat bird came over and pressed its round belly against Lu Xuan's arm. Go away. Lu Xuan looked at the fat bird who was imitating and couldn't help but scold with a smile. Chapter 595 Thunder Key Seed. Behind the giant thunder-winged bird, a stream of light shot out, and a middle-aged monk with a refined temperament quietly appeared in front of Lu Xuan and the others. The monk's aura was as deep as the abyss and the sea, unfathomable. His pupils were silver white, and lightning patterns spread from the center of his pupils to the surroundings, looking extremely deep. Senior Qi, let me introduce you to you. This is fellow Daoist Lu Xuan. The moment Lei Zeng saw the elegant middle-aged monk, he hurriedly stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Fellow Daoist Lu is good at cultivating spiritual plants and raising spiritual beasts, so I will bring him here to see why the thunder-winged bird is here. He turned to Lu Xuan and said, fellow Daoist Lu, this is Qi Wuheng, the Star Envoy. Hello, Senior Qi. Lu Xuan greeted the elegant monk neither servilely nor arrogantly. Little friend Lu, please come over today, and this spiritual beast will be handed over to you. Qi Wuheng said in a gentle tone. I will do my best to help you solve your problems. Lu Xuan replied sincerely. He and Lei Zeng followed Qi Wuheng into the cave. The cave of a mid-stage giant and cultivator is definitely larger in size and purer in spiritual energy than mine, but the protection level of the cave is probably not as good as my 2 5th grade formations. Lu Xuan glanced at it and sighed in his heart. The three of them came to the habitat of the 4th grade thunder-winged bird. When the thunder-winged bird first saw Lei Zeng, it was quite excited, but after entering the cave, it immediately looked listless and lazily lay on a thick spiritual tree surrounded by lightning. Senior, how long has this spiritual beast been behaving strangely? Lu Xuan got straight to the point and asked Qi Wuheng. About a month. At first I thought it was just in a bad mood or something, but after a long time, I found that its condition was getting worse and worse. During this period, I thought of many ways and invited several cultivators who were good at controlling beasts, but I couldn't find a proper solution. This thunder-winged bird has been with me for a long time. There is a lot of bond between us. It's just that, because it has not yet broken through to the 5th level and has not refined the transverse bone in the throat, it can't speak, so I can only vaguely sense that it is not feeling well. As for why, that's unclear. Qi Wuheng said slowly. Lu Xuan nodded gently and came to the front of the thunder-winged bird. He looked at the huge demon bird with soft eyes and sent it a friendly thought. Then, his spiritual consciousness probed into the body of the thunder-winged bird and searched carefully. Although he knew that Qi Wuheng and other cultivators had searched many times, he still had to do what he should do. As expected, nothing abnormal was found. Lu Xuan looked calm. Seeing that the thunder-winged bird gradually relaxed about him, he took out a fairy peach fruit from the storage bag. Come, taste the spiritual fruit I planted myself. Relax, I will change another way to check you carefully, he said softly, speaking to the thunder-winged bird, as well as to Qi Wuheng and Lei Zeng beside him. The thunder-winged bird smelled the fragrance from the charming fairy peach, and swallowed it into its stomach. Seeing this, Lu Xuan's heart was instantly relieved. There was no way. If he couldn't complete the breeding process, he couldn't understand the abnormality of the thunder-winged bird. Although he had read a lot of beast control books, he only knew some common sense. For the difficult and complicated diseases of unknown origin on the thunder-winged bird, if he didn't use special abilities, the possibility of successfully solving them was very small. His mind was focused on the thunder-winged bird's body, and suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. The thunder-winged bird, a 4th grade demon beast, can control the power of wind and thunder with an extremely fast speed. At the same time, it also controls a secret method of thunder and lightning, and is powerful. It's in poor condition. Because of taking a thunder seed, the demon power in the body is constantly weakening. Thunder Qi seeds, the grass seeds condensed by the 5th grade spiritual plant Thunder Qi grass absorbing a large amount of Thunder Qi, contain rich mysterious special energy, which can help cultivators or monsters break through the realm. If it is not refined properly, it will cause damage to their own spiritual power and monster power. Thunder Qi seeds. Thunder Qi grass? Is this the source of the thunder-winged bird's sluggishness? Lu Xuan sighed in his heart. It was the first time he heard of this so-called Thunder Qi grass spiritual plant. Although he was full of curiosity, it was still important to solve the problem at hand. He opened his eyes and came to Qi Wuheng and the others. Little friend Lu, have you found anything? The elegant cultivator had a look of expectation on his face. Although he had not found the problem with the spirit beast, after checking it many times, Lu Xuan's arrival rekindled his hope. Senior, I dare to ask, did you feed the thunder-winged bird a special spirit a long time ago? The grade may not be low. Lu Xuan reminded. That's true. Qi Wuheng's face showed a thoughtful expression, and he said slowly, when I was traveling outside, I got a special spiritual fruit called Thunder Qi seed in Wuliang realm. It is said that after taking it, it can increase the possibility of a cultivator or demon beast breaking through to the giant or 5th level. After returning, I fed it to the thunder-winged bird. That should be it. Lu Xuan's acting skills are extremely superb, and he looked thoughtful when he heard it. I saw a 5th level spiritual plant called Thunder Qi grass in a certain book, and Thunder Qi seed is the grass seed condensed from it. It contains a mysterious special vitality. After taking it, you need to refine the vitality, otherwise it will damage the spiritual and demonic energy in your body. He brought out the mysterious book very familiarly. I see, so the reason why the thunder-winged bird is abnormal is that it just had a stomachache? You can understand it that way. Lu Xuan nodded heavily. If the spiritual fruit and spiritual medicine taken are not appropriate, even a 4th level spiritual beast will have negative effects. Qi Wuheng believed Lu Xuan's words about 70%. No one else knew that he had obtained the thunder seed and fed it to the thunder-winged bird. After Lu Xuan checked the thunder-winged bird, he came to ask him about it, which meant that he probably knew the source. Thank you, little friend Lu. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to find the source of the abnormality of the spirit beast for a long time. Qi Wuheng bowed to Lu Xuan to express his gratitude. As for the special energy that the thunder seed has integrated into the body of the spirit beast, I will think of a way to refine it as soon as possible, he said with a smile. Okay senior, then I wish the thunder-winged bird a speedy recovery. Although he found out the problem of the thunder-winged bird, he was at a loss as to how to refine the special energy in its body. Moreover, Qi Wuheng would not let him, a late-stage foundation building cultivator, refine the 5th grade spirit fruit, so he ended up being relaxed. I didn't expect that little friend Lu's way of taming beasts is so exquisite. The three of them withdrew and came to a quiet courtyard. Qi Wuheng looked at Lu Xuan with admiration in his eyes. The problem that had troubled him for so long was easily solved by Xuan, and his evaluation of Xuan improved a lot. Chapter 596. Working is impossible. Senior, you are too kind to me. I don't deserve it. Xuan quickly stood up and said, after I started practicing, I became very interested in cultivating spiritual plants and raising spiritual beasts, and even neglected my practice because of this. In order to learn more about spiritual plants, I tried every means to collect various rare books, cultivated many spiritual plants, and raised many spiritual beasts. I combined theory with practice and gained a lot of experience. Xuan said half truthfully. Haha, with such hard work, no wonder you have such superb spiritual plant and spiritual beast skills, little friend Lu. Qi Wuheng laughed loudly, and Lei Zeng, who was standing beside him, looked at Xuan with a bit of admiration in his eyes. The reason why most cultivators practice is to make themselves stronger and get a glimpse of the possibility of the great Dao. In the process of practice, one may learn one or several cultivation skills, but they are only for the service of one's own practice. Few cultivators do it out of love. By the way, Mr. Lu, you helped me solve a big problem today, and I should be very grateful to you. I wonder what Mr. Lu wants as a reward. Spirit stones? Pearls? Magical instruments? Although, I still have some treasures suitable for late-stage foundation building cultivators. Xuan smiled and said nothing. If we really compare treasures, you may not have as many 5th grade and 6th grade treasures as I do. He secretly complained in his heart, but said it insincerely. Senior, don't be so polite, it's just a little help. This is what I should do. Otherwise, if a cultivator helped me a lot, and I didn't express anything, it would be embarrassing if it got out. Qi Wuheng's face sank, and he said solemnly, how about this? I don't want the reward for now. If you have high-level spirit seeds, you can sell them to me first, or you can tell me if you have news about high-level spirit seeds. The star envoy in front of him couldn't reward him with a 5th grade treasure for such a small thing, but Xuan had no interest in pills and magic instruments at the foundation building stage, so he took a compromise. I believe that with Qi Wuheng's mid-stage giant and realm and his status as a star envoy of the Thunder Mars Cave, it should not be difficult to get information about high-level spirit seeds. I don't have any high-level spirit seeds at the moment. If I have any, I will give priority to you, little friend Lu. If I get any information about spirit seeds, I will also inform you as soon as possible. Qi Wuheng promised Xuan. Thank you, senior. Xuan was overjoyed and quickly expressed his gratitude to the elegant cultivator. Spiritual plants are much more valuable to him than ordinary treasures. With the promise of middle-stage giant and real person, his hope of getting high-level spirit seeds in the future has increased a lot. Little friend Lu is indeed a pure spirit plant master to the extreme. Qi Wuheng nodded and praised. He didn't expect Xuan to actively refuse a treasure given by a giant and cultivator, just for the possibility of getting a high-level spirit seed. Hearing this, Xuan smiled shyly. The three chatted for a while, and Qi Wuheng suddenly remembered something, turned to Xuan and said, little friend Lu, there is a star envoy in the other star cave who has cultivated a lot of spiritual plants. He has always wanted to hire an experienced spiritual plant master to cultivate spiritual plants for him. I wonder if you are interested? Are you going to that senior's cave to help take care of the spiritual plants? Xuan asked doubtfully. Yes, not in the Thunder Fire Star Cave. Your beast control level is so outstanding, and I believe your attainments in spiritual plants are even better. You can do it. Xuan pondered for a while, raised his head and said, sorry, Senior Qi, I still have a lot of spiritual plants planted in my cave, and I need to perform basic cultivation techniques frequently, and meet other weird and tricky requirements. If I stay out for a long time, it may not be conducive to their growth. Therefore, I don't have that idea for the time being. He quickly made a decision. In the past, if he could cultivate spiritual plants for a giant and real person, he might have accepted it at the first time, but now, he has to think about it. When he first entered the sect, in order to earn sword seals in exchange for spiritual seeds, he accepted many tasks of cultivating spiritual plants and raising spiritual beasts. However, as his cultivation became more and more sophisticated, and his status in the sect became higher and higher, he changed the way of planting seeds on behalf of others. From the initial task of receiving tasks and going to the cave house of fellow disciples or the sect's medicine garden, it was changed to Dandy and Sword Hall and the true disciple Jinden Zenran who took the initiative to entrust him to cultivate spiritual plants. If he went to the cave house of the Jinden Zenran to help cultivate spiritual plants, it can be expected that at least the 3rd, 4th, or even 5th grade spiritual plants cultivated would be cultivated. The cultivation cycle is long, which can take several years or even 10 years. After maturity, there is no light ball reward, and only basic remuneration can be obtained. But it takes a lot of time, and only gets that little remuneration, which is not very cost effective for him at present. It is impossible to work part-time. If you really want me to cultivate spiritual plants for you, then send the spiritual seeds over. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. Only in this way can he get the reward for cultivating spiritual plants, while opening various mysterious and unknown light ball rewards. Senior or other star envoys, if you get any strange high-level spiritual seeds and don't know how to cultivate them, you can bring them over and let me try to cultivate them, Lu Xuan said confidently. He was not afraid to show his spiritual plant talent in Liang realm. After all, this talent was not a threat to most cultivators, nor would it harm their interests. Instead, it would bring him considerable benefits. Okay, I'll keep an eye on it for you, little friend Lu. Qi Wuheng nodded in response. Seeing that it was getting late, Lu Xuan and Lei Zeng stood up and said goodbye. I admire Dao Lu's talent for spiritual plants and spiritual beasts. On the way back to the cave, Lei Zeng and the fat bird flew side by side in the sky and sent a voice message to Lu Xuan. Side doors and unorthodox ways delay cultivation and are not as good as Dao Lu's hard work. The wind was strong, and Lu Xuan stood on the broad back of the fat bird, his sleeves fluttering, and replied very casually. To be appreciated by a middle-stage giant and star envoy is worth many years of hard work. A hint of envy flashed in Lei Zeng's eyes. Dao Lu, according to what you said before, it seems that I can ask you to cultivate spiritual plants for me, he continued. That's right, if Dao Lu has any high-level spiritual seeds, you don't have to rush to sell them, let me cultivate them for you. The higher the grade and the rarer the species, the better, which can satisfy my curiosity. We are so close, and after the cultivation is successful, I can give you a discount. Lu Xuan smiled and sent a voice message to Lei Zeng. Okay, if there is a chance, come and ask Dao to cultivate it for me. Dao Lu, goodbye, see you later. Lei Zeng's eyes flashed a little, and he arched his hands towards Lu Xuan. The thunder wings on his back flapped out a trail of after images and disappeared in a burst of explosions. It looks like there's something. Just send it over. The cost is low and the quality of the spiritual plants is excellent. Where can you find such a high quality spiritual plant master? Lu Xuan looked in the direction where he disappeared, with an ambiguous smile on his face. Chapter 597. Pharmacist 7 chapters. The bait has been thrown, and as for when the fish will take the bait, it has nothing to do with Lu Xuan. He returned to the cave and patted the fat bird's round belly. The flesh was surging, soft and comfortable, and felt very good. He came to the spiritual field and checked all the spiritual plants. If he found that any spiritual plant had a slight need, he would try his best to satisfy it. Finally, he returned to the small courtyard after consuming a small part of his spiritual power. After resting for a while, he entered a pill room next to him. Because he opened a lot of pill recipe experience packs from the light ball, Lu Xuan's alchemy progressed rapidly, and he had achieved a small success, a great success, and even a master level in some kinds of pills. He took out the previously stored Zangyuan grass, and used his spiritual power to carefully split and peel off the leaves. In the end, only a ball of rich and pure spiritual energy was left. Then, the processed Zangyuan grass was added to other materials, and according to the records on the pill recipe, they were blended into one with extremely skillful movements. Under the pill furnace, a wisp of light green flame suddenly lit up, extending rapidly, and burning quietly. The pale blue flame was the 4th grade azure fire, which was said to have originated from the Tusita sect, a major alchemy sect. It was a kind of fire that was extremely suitable for refining pills and could slightly increase the success rate and quality of the pills. Xuan put the processed materials and solvents into the pill furnace in order. He did not have much experience in refining foundation building pills, but because he had absorbed a large number of pill formula experience packages, his refining level of foundation building pills was between small success and great success, which was much better than most of the alchemists in the Xianjian sect's alchemy hall. After half an hour, his spiritual awareness was keenly aware of the changes in the pill furnace. With a thought, the top cover of the pill furnace was lifted, and 4 pills the size of Langan shot out like lightning. Xuan's spiritual power stopped the 4 pills, stretched out his palm, and the 4 foundation building pills lay quietly in his palm. There were many spiritual patterns swimming on the surface of the pills, and a faint light radiated, which made people feel refreshed. 4 foundation building pills in one furnace, not bad. Xuan thought to himself. The main source of spiritual stones in the future will depend on alchemy. Although he had many treasures on him, it was not easy to sell the 5th grade treasures at his current foundation building stage. Only by finding a force with excellent credibility and disguising his identity could he have a chance to exchange for other things. As for the 3rd and 4th grade treasures, he gradually sold many of them to obtain higher level spiritual seeds, or the flesh and blood of monsters, etc. The largest number of them in his hands were 4th grade sword talismans, which were extremely useful to him at present, so he planned to keep them all on him. His current success rate in refining foundation building pills was about 60% to 70%. Alchemists had a success rate of about 30% on a certain kind of pill, which basically achieved a balance between income and expenditure. If it was 60% to 70%, it would be a sure win. With this probability, every furnace of refining foundation building pills can earn thousands of low-grade spiritual stones. If it is improved to the great success or even grandmaster level, that furnace can earn more than 10,000 or even 20,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Xuan sighed and was impressed by the money-making ability of the grandmaster level alchemist. Thinking of this, he was full of motivation and continued to open the furnace to refine pills. He refined 10 furnaces of foundation building pills in a row and only stopped when he felt a little tired. 7 of the 10 furnaces were successful, with 3 or 4 foundation building pills in each furnace, and a total of 26 foundation building pills. I can barely be considered a master of alchemy. Xuan smiled and put the foundation building pills into his storage bag. Suddenly, he felt a slight strange feeling on the back of his hand, as if there was a stream of water flowing continuously. With his spiritual sense, he realized that the medicine beast that had been living in the alchemy room had come over at some point. Did you eat enough poison today? Xuan focused his mind on the translucent shapeless medicine beast, feeling the joy it conveyed, and laughed softly. This medicine beast likes to eat the poison contained in the alchemy furnace and the pills. After 3 furnaces of foundation building pills failed, he must let it have a feast. Is it going to break through? Suddenly, the breath of the medicine beast lying on the back of his hand gradually became stronger, and its figure slowly appeared. A faint medicinal fragrance came from the alchemy room. The fragrance flowed and slowly gathered around the medicine beast, forming a wisp of strange smoke that merged into the body of the medicine beast. The smoke gathered more and more, and finally enveloped the medicine beast. After a while, an inaudible sound was heard, and a slight crack appeared on the strange smoke cover. In Xuan's spiritual sense, the medicine beast, which was more than twice the size, flew out from it, and landed on his shoulder as light as a feather. His mind was focused on the body of the medicine beast, and suddenly, a thought emerged from his mind. The medicine beast is a 4th grade alien insect, almost invisible and colorless, afraid of contact with living beings, likes to eat the residual poison in the alchemy furnace and elixir, parasitizes in the alchemy furnace, can automatically clean and maintain the alchemy furnace, ensure the quality of the alchemy furnace, and slightly improve the quality of the elixir. Finally, you have grown to the 4th grade. It's worth it that I usually use so many 4th grade or even 5th grade elixirs to feed you. Xuan was full of emotion. The elixirs he opened from the light ball had to pass through the hands of the medicine beast, providing it with nutrients, while letting it clean up the possible residual elixir poison. The 4th grade Xuan pill Midai pill, Dachin pill, and the recent Tuan pill, and even the 5th grade Shengying pill he got before. In addition, he usually has the habit of refining pills. Under various factors, the medicine beast grows very fast. I wonder what kind of light bowl reward this rare 4th grade alien insect can open. Lu Xuan comforted the medicine beast that had successfully broken through, and his attention was attracted by the white light ball quietly floating in the air. With expectation, he reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball. The light ball exploded silently, turning into countless tiny light points, condensing into a phantom of an ancient book, and sank into Lu Xuan's body. A thought flashed through his mind. The medicine beast was promoted to the 4th grade and gained Pharmacist 7 chapters part 1. An ancient mottled book appeared in front of Lu Xuan. He opened it carefully. The pages recorded the detailed information of a 4th grade spiritual plant, the corresponding processing tips, the specific medicinal properties, and which spiritual medicines it is compatible with or incompatible with. Turning to the back, you can see the introduction of many elixirs, but unfortunately, no specific recipes were found. The 7 chapters of Pharmacist, a treasure of no rank, is said to be a book of alchemy written by a Yuan elder of the Tushita sect who is good at alchemy, based on his life experience. It records the medicinal properties of many spiritual plants in the world, and is priceless to alchemists. The following chapters also record several 5th and 6th grade recipes deduced by him, which need to be verified. The works of an alchemist at the level of a Yuan elder? If I take it to the so-called Tushita sect, I wonder what I can get in exchange. When Lu Xuan learned that the treasure was of no rank, he felt cold in his heart at first, but after understanding the specific information of the ancient book, he felt relieved. The following chapters also record the recipes of the elixir deduced by Yuan Ying's engine. He couldn't wait to turn to the end. Where are the following chapters? What a broken chapter. He couldn't help but curse. Chapter 598. The little spiritual plant master who sells pills. The pharmacist 7 chapters in his hand lacked the most critical information about the recipe, which made Lu Xuan's defense break for a moment, so that he couldn't help but curse the Yuan Ying's engine behind him. However, he also knew that this was most likely the factor of the light ball reward. He had had similar experiences more than once before, and the rewards such as the skills and spirit puppets needed to be opened several times and pieced together. The next time I harvest the light ball, I will probably have to wait until the medicine beast is promoted to the 5th grade before I can get the latter part of Pharmacist 7 chapters. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. However, even if it is only the first 3 chapters, it is of great use to him at present. It allows him to better understand the knowledge about alchemy, and at the same time, he can reversely infer the required spiritual plants, based on the information of the elixir and the medicinal properties of the spiritual plants, so that he can purposefully harvest the light ball rewards. According to the previous experience of cultivating spiritual plants, there is a high probability that he can harvest the corresponding pill recipe experience package from it. He has been in the cave for a long time, and he plans to go out for a trip to buy some daily practice materials, and by the way, sell some foundation building pills to test the waters. He activated 2 5th grade arrays, the illusionary 5-element array and the cloud bamboo arrow array, and told the grass puppet with 4 arrow vines to take care of the spiritual field. Then he passed through the thundercloud vortex and came to the star picking tower. He entered the Halao Chamber of Commerce with familiarity, and soon a pretty maid came out to greet him. "Hello senior. If you need anything, just tell me." She bowed respectfully and said in a soft and pleasant voice, "I want to sell some 3rd grade foundation building pills. I wonder if you can make the decision." Lu Xuan sent her a voice transmission. After entering Liang realm, he paid attention to the information about foundation building pills. In the East Wilderness, the foundation building pills were controlled by the sects, and the number leaked to the outside world was very small. When selling them, they needed to be cautious and conceal their identities. In the Liang realm of Zhongzhou, the 3rd grade foundation building pills were only a rare existence among the same grade pills. Even in other shops in the star picking tower, they were sold, not to mention the Halao Chamber of Commerce, which was the 2nd largest force in Liang realm. The maid had no authority to handle this matter, so she quickly invited the owner of this branch building to come out. It was the Wenwen female cultivator who had dealt with Lu Xuan before. When she saw Lu Xuan, a sincere smile appeared on her face, and she greeted him warmly. Dao Lu, it's been a long time since we last met. The female cultivator bought a rare 4th grade magic weapon called Kingly Jade Lock from him at that time, so she was quite impressed by Lu Xuan. Dao Wen is nice. Lu Xuan clasped his fists and saluted. I heard from my maid that Dao Lu wanted to sell some 3rd grade foundation building pills. Wenwen female cultivator asked softly, with a bit of surprise in her eyes. I didn't expect Dao to be proficient in elixirs in addition to cultivating spiritual plants. I have planted more spiritual plants, so I want to learn to refine elixirs, to save as much spiritual stones as possible. Lu Xuan was calm, and gave a reasonable explanation. As a spiritual plant master, it is reasonable for him to refine elixirs, right? The Wenwen female cultivator led Lu Xuan into a spacious and elegant room. Please show me the quality of the foundation building pill, fellow Daoist Lu. No problem. Lu Xuan nodded gently, and a foundation building pill appeared in his hand, and then floated in front of the female cultivator. Wenwen, the female cultivator, took the pill, and looked at it intently. There are spiritual patterns on the surface of the pill, without any flaws or impurities, and the quality is good. Immediately, the spiritual consciousness probed into the inside of the pill. It contains a large amount of pure spiritual energy, which is well integrated with the pill, and the quality is excellent. In general, the quality is more than one level higher than that of ordinary foundation building pills. She showed admiration in her eyes. Lu Xuan smiled slightly. After absorbing so many pill formula experience packs, plus the medicine beast cleaning the residual weak pill poison in the pill, the quality is naturally extraordinary. How many foundation building pills does fellow Daoist Lu have? How does the quality compare to this one? After carefully examining the foundation building pill, the female cultivator asked. There are a total of 20, and the quality is about the same. 20? Wenwen, the female cultivator, heard this and exclaimed in a low voice. She was well informed, and knew that it was not something that an ordinary alchemist could do to take out 20 foundation building pills of this quality. I have accumulated them for a long time, and I specially picked out the best ones, so I have this number. Lu Xuan took out another 19 foundation building pills, supported them with spiritual power, and floated them in front of the female cultivator. The female cultivator's eyes brightened a little, and she carefully examined each pill one by one. Yes, they are indeed of good quality. She exhaled lightly and nodded. If Master Wen is satisfied, please make an offer. Lu Xuan said with a smile. 20 pills, 3,200 low-grade spirit stones each. What do you think, fellow Daoist Lu? She asked tentatively. Lu Xuan lowered his head and pondered in his heart. When he was in Jianmen Town, he once sold foundation building pills in Wanbao Tower, and the price was 2,000 spirit stones each. The price of goods in Liang Realm is much higher than that in Danhuang. When he sold Kingly Jade Lock at that time, it was finally sold for 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. The foundation building pill is one of the most valuable pills of the same grade, and Lu Xuan's pills are of the best quality. Therefore, the price offered by Wenwen is reasonable. 3,300 spirit stones. These 20 foundation building pills belong to you, fellow Daoist Wen. He mentioned the price slightly. Okay, deal. The female cultivator agreed without hesitation. Although the price is relatively high, with such a high quality foundation building pill, it will still make a small profit. But I have an unwelcome request. If fellow Daoist Lu refines foundation building pills of this quality again in the future, I hope you can give priority to our Chamber of Commerce. The price will definitely be higher than the average level among peers. She looked at Lu Xuan, her eyes flickering. Okay. Lu Xuan readily promised that the Halao Chamber of Commerce has a top reputation and strength, and it is not bad to be able to establish a stable channel through this. Wenwen's smile became even bigger when she heard this, and her eyes looking at Lu Xuan were obviously more lively and enthusiastic. Soon, a foundation building cultivator came into the house with 660 medium grade spirit stones. Please count them, fellow Daoist Lu. If there is no problem, the transaction will be officially concluded. Lu Xuan nodded and scanned them with his spiritual sense. That's right, fellow Daoist Wen. It's a pleasure to work with you. Wait a minute, fellow Daoist Lu. Just as he was about to leave, the gentle female cultivator called him. In a while, the Chamber of Commerce will hold a large auction, where many high-level rare spirit seeds will appear. As far as I know, there are even 6th grade spirit seeds, in addition to rare spirit seeds from foreign lands. If fellow Daoist Lu is interested, you can prepare in advance. 6th grade spirit seeds. Lu Xuan paused after hearing this, and a strong interest surged in his heart. It's worthy of the Heilao Chamber of Commerce. There are such high-grade spirit seeds for sale. It would be a pity if I miss them. Every 5th grade and 6th grade spirit plant in the cave was hard won. It was rare for a high-grade spirit seed to appear, so he would naturally not miss the opportunity. Thank you, Brother Wen, for the reminder. He expressed his gratitude to the female cultivator. Chapter 599, Ice Soul Pill. I wonder if you can tell me the specific time and location of the auction? He took the initiative to ask the gentle female cultivator. Coming to the Liang realm of Zhongzhou, he was unfamiliar with the place and had limited channels to obtain high-level spiritual seeds. With such an opportunity, Lu Xuan naturally did not want to miss it. There are less than 2 years left. After practicing in seclusion once, it will be almost time to come out, the female cultivator said with a smile. As for the location, it is at the headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce. There are Yuaning's engine guarding it, plus the headquarters' own protection capabilities. It can be held without worry. She added, the headquarters of the Heilao Chamber of Commerce. Lu Xuan immediately remembered that when he first entered the Liang realm, he learned that the Heilao Chamber of Commerce had a treasure building of high-level magic weapons, which could freely travel between various realms, and had countless treasures. The Chamber of Commerce has certain requirements for the cultivators who participate in the auction. The cultivation level must be no lower than the foundation building realm, and at the same time, they must have at least thousands of medium-grade spirit stones. However, I believe that fellow Daoist Lu, who is proficient in both spiritual plants and alchemy, will definitely not have any problems. Lu Xuan just sold 20 foundation building pills and obtained more than 600 medium-grade spirit stones. In addition to the previous Kingly Jade Lock and other magical instruments, he also easily obtained hundreds of medium-grade spirit stones. When one, a female cultivator, said to him with full confidence, "Thank you for your reminder, fellow Daoist Wen. I will definitely attend the grand auction as promised." Lu Xuan smiled. He left the Heilao Chamber of Commerce branch and wandered around in the Zexing Tower to replenish some basic cultivation resources needed for a long time. Back to the cave, more than 600 pigeon egg-sized medium-grade spirit stones appeared on the table, and suddenly the spiritual light overflowed, dazzling. If the level of alchemy is enough, it will really make a fortune every day. He couldn't help but sigh. However, he also knew the priorities. Farming was his top priority. It would be great if he could earn spirit stones from alchemy and buy some high-level spirit seeds. The light balls could bring him thousands of rare treasures, among which he might get more high-level experience packs for alchemy recipes. It seems that I have to prepare well for the auction later. If I want to get as many 5th grade or even 6th grade spirit seeds as possible, the spirit stones I have now are not enough. He spent almost all of his fortune to rent the Thunder Mars cave. Although he sold some magic tools and pills, processed materials, and collected the storage bag of the white-haired old woman in the medicine garden, his fortune was not very strong. He was not sure about getting the 6th grade spirit seeds. Some 5th grade treasures that are not very useful can be sold. Lu Xuan thought secretly. The 9-headed dragon picture and 2 male-headed arrows could also be sold, and the 10,000 evil banners and even the 6th grade blood path technique blood god sect could also be considered. For the 6th grade skills, we still have to be careful and cautious, so as not to cause some unnecessary trouble. He made a decision, and planned to quietly sell some light bulb treasures before the auction began. The next morning, the layers of Bamboo Sea were shrouded in clouds and mist, like a fairyland on earth. But if you look carefully, you can detect the hidden murderous intent inside. Lu Xuan came to the spiritual field and carefully examined each spiritual plant. The thunderstorm lotus and green spirit branch planted earlier have sprouted. One is pale white with barely visible faint thunder patterns on the stems and leaves, and the other is full of vitality. There is a lot of grass and wood spirit energy condensed around the green plant. 6-5 Thunder Twin Flower Spirit seeds are about to break out of the ground. In a certain area around, the spirit soil has a uniform 5-element spirit thunder aura. As for the 7th grade Yumikingli vine, it has been planted for a while, but there is still no sign of rooting and sprouting. However, Xuan is very patient and nourishes it with pure wood spirit thunder every day. The spirit consciousness can detect that the vitality inside the green light ball is becoming rich. Xuan felt the changes of many spiritual plants and felt a faint sense of satisfaction in his heart. He entered the area where many evil spiritual plants were planted. As soon as he entered the formation, a strong yin energy swept over and washed over Xuan's body. The wailing and roaring of the resentful ghosts and the terrifying sound of chewing flesh and blood rang in his ears. In Xuan's sight, a blue-black baby figure flashed by and drilled into the mother plant of the holy infant fruit next to him, leaving only a vague blue-black light ball, as if he had just said that he had hallucinations. It won't be long before these two subplants mature. As for the mother plant, give me some subplant spirit seeds first, and then consider cultivating you to maturity. Xuan looked at the mother plant of the holy infant fruit and the two subplants next to it with a smile on his face. The growth progress of the 18,000 Kyung hands is almost the same. At this growth rate, it is estimated that they will mature within 1 or 2 years. Although the 1000 Kyung hand is only a 3rd grade spiritual plant, the 18 plants are intertwined and entangled, as if they were born together, and the growth cycle is much longer than that of ordinary 3rd grade spiritual plants. While checking the condition of the Kyung Kyu hand spirit plant, he felt something strange at his feet. He looked down and saw that the blood spirit palm ginseng was secretly clinging to his calf, absorbing his vigorous blood. The blood red palm was like a cattail leaf fan, and a viscous liquid slowly flowed in the dark red veins. Xuan quickly took out a bottle of dragon blood essence to meet the needs of the blood spirit palm ginseng, which had already entered the mature stage. It's almost mature, and then we can harvest a lot of evil treasures, light balls. Alas, I was originally going to the right path, but the light ball opened the yin object. Xuan sighed, feeling a lot of emotion. The days of farming always passed quickly, and a year passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, Xuan stayed in the cave most of the time, occasionally going to the Zixing Tower to replenish supplies, and if Lei Zeng and other familiar monks invited him nearby, they would have a small gathering. Lei Zeng was more patient than he thought, and did not immediately hand over the spirit seeds to him for cultivation as Xuan thought. In the spiritual field, Xuan looked at the ice firefly grass covered with white frost, and found that the translucent progress bar below one of them was completely full. Finally, one of them has matured. I wonder if it will give me a cultivation reward. When he was still in the Xianji insect, he improved the 3rd grade ice firefly grass. After bringing it to the Thunder Fire Star Cave, he carefully cultivated it for a long time and it finally matured. Involving the cultivation of the subsequent realms, Xuan was a little nervous and carefully picked the 3rd grade ice firefly grass. Ice firefly grass, a 3rd grade spiritual plant, is a mutation and improvement of the 2nd grade water firefly grass, containing a trace of pure ice spiritual power. After a brief inspection of the detailed information of the ice firefly grass, Xuan's mind was completely attracted by the white light ball that quietly emerged. He rubbed his palms and gently touched the surface of the light ball. Suddenly, the slightly flickering light ball exploded silently, and countless tiny light points condensed into a silver white light ball phantom, which instantly sank into his body. A thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 3rd grade ice firefly grass, and obtain the 4th grade treasure ice soul pill. Right square bracket. Chapter 600, Foundation Building completed. The thought flashed through his mind, and a small silver white ball appeared in his hand. The ball was spinning, the size of a thumb tip, and inside it could be seen a ball of pure white mist that sometimes condensed and sometimes dissipated. The part where the palm of the hand touched the ball could clearly sense an extremely cold breath. With Xuan's current strong physical body, he could still feel this, which showed how cold the silver white ball was. His spiritual power surged, eliminating the cold air from his palm, and his mind was focused on the silver white ball. Suddenly, detailed information about this treasure appeared in his mind. Ice Soul Pill, a 4th grade treasure, is condensed from the 100-year-old ice soul collected from the deep glacier. It contains a strong and extremely cold breath. It can be used to attack the enemy. After releasing it, a violent cold wave will instantly burst out. It can also be refined and swallowed into the body to increase the speed of practicing certain special ice-related skills. 4th grade treasures. Lu Xuan sighed, not as happy as he had imagined. The 3rd grade ice firefly grass could produce 4th grade treasures, which was quite good, but what made him regretful was that the cultivation reward he was thinking about did not appear. However, he quickly adjusted his mentality. When he planted the 2nd grade water firefly grass before, only a small number of light balls could produce cultivation. It was understandable that one plant did not produce one. Speaking of which, this ice soul pill is quite interesting. It is in the same vein as the light ball reward of the water firefly grass before. He remembered that a 3rd grade 100-year ice soul had been produced from the light ball of the water firefly grass, and this ice soul pill was condensed from a 100-year ice soul, which was considered its advanced version. There are 2 more plants. It seems that they will not be mature for long. Should I give them a reward by the way? He could not suppress his curiosity. The light green light ball in his danchan rotated slightly, and a trace of greenwood source energy flowed out from his fingertips and penetrated into the ice firefly grass plant. After a while, the progress under the 2 ice fireflies was full. Because the grade was not very high, and it was not long before maturity, the consumption of King Mu Yuan Qi was not much. Light ball, open some cultivation. Lu Xuan prayed devoutly, holding his breath and concentrating, carefully picking one of them. Then, he gently touched the white light ball that quietly emerged at the location of the ice firefly. A thought emerged in his sea of consciousness. Harvest a 3rd grade ice firefly grass, and get a 5-year cultivation reward. The thought flashed through Lu Xuan's mind, and a large amount of spiritual power surged in his body, like a surging wave, madly impacting his limbs. He practiced the great 5-element gong, guiding the large amount of spiritual power that appeared out of thin air, transforming it into drops of pure spiritual liquid, and integrating it into the danchan. It's almost the perfect foundation. He opened his eyes, a gleam of light flashed in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. At this moment, he felt that the spiritual energy in his body had reached the limit that the danchan could carry, and he was only a hair's breadth away from breaking through to the perfect foundation. The cultivation reward from the ice firefly grass light ball put his heart at ease. This means that he can still farm peacefully and without distractions in the future. As for cultivation, he can get it by harvesting the light ball. The ordinary quality ice firefly grass gives a 5-year cultivation reward, which is 5 times that of the ordinary quality water firefly grass. According to this speculation, the good quality one may be 10 years. But after breaking through to the Jiandan realm, the cultivation reward may be weakened due to the downgrade of spiritual plant cultivation. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. He glanced at the remaining ripened ice firefly grass next to him, and simply picked it out. The good quality one is here. Lu Xuan was secretly happy, and reached out to touch the surface of the light ball gently. The light ball shattered silently, and turned into a river of light, pouring into Lu Xuan's body. Then, a thought flashed quietly in his mind. Harvest a 3rd grade ice firefly grass, and get a 10-year cultivation reward. As soon as the thought disappeared, spiritual power twice as strong as before appeared in Lu Xuan's body, like a raging sea. Lu Xuan hurriedly practiced the technique, constantly absorbing and refining spiritual power. Slowly, the pure spiritual liquid accumulated in the danchan became more and more viscous. Finally, the danchan suddenly contracted and expanded, and Lu Xuan's aura rose a lot. The foundation is complete. Lu Xuan felt a much stronger spiritual power in his body and sighed secretly. At this moment, he had a lot of thoughts in his mind. In addition to joy, there were more feelings and memories. Thinking back to the past, when he was still a small casual cultivator at the 2nd level of key training, in order to master a livelihood, he borrowed a few spiritual stones from Zhang Hong, the elder brother who lived next door, rented spiritual fields, and bought spiritual seeds. Unexpectedly, after the spiritual plants matured and harvested white light balls, his cultivation career had undergone earth-shaking changes. Not only did he survive safely in the casual cultivator market, but he was also able to enter the Xuan sect, constantly cultivating spiritual plants and harvesting light balls. In just 20 to 30 years, he has grown from a small casual cultivator at the second level of key training to the perfect state of foundation building, and can even glimpse the possibility of forming a pill or even a nascent soul in the future. Such a cultivation speed is very likely to be faster than that of the cultivation geniuses such as Jepu, Zhang Jingshan, and Jian Wuxia of the Xuan sect. He sighed in his heart. Fortunately, no one in the Thunderfire Star Cave knows me, and they don't know my specific cultivation age and cultivation qualifications. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will cause some trouble. Next, I'll stay in the Thunderfire Star Cave honestly, cultivate spiritual plants, harvest light balls, and prepare for the matter of forming a pill. Lu Xuan made a plan secretly. He didn't plan to pick the remaining 4 ice fireflies and harvest the light balls, but to use them all to condense seeds. Ice fireflies are improved from water fireflies, and the method of condensing seeds is not much different. Lu Xuan also has the ability to master the state of spiritual plants, so he can make subtle adjustments to condense spiritual seeds. Once we harvest a batch of spiritual seeds, we can continue to accumulate spiritual seeds while harvesting light balls. The light ball cultivation reward depends on the quality of the spiritual plants. In the foundation building stage, it is 5, 10, and 15 years respectively. With the water firefly grass planted, the time required to break through to the dan forming stage will be shortened a lot. In addition, we have to prepare the subsequent exercises for the dan forming stage. The Great 5-element gong obtained from the Xuan sect does not have the exercises after the dan forming stage, so Lu Xuan must prepare in advance. Although the cultivation is basically obtained from the light balls, the necessary exercises should still be available. Of course, it would be even better if it could be opened from the light balls. Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness swept over the many 5th and 6th grade spiritual plants in the cave, and a hint of expectation flashed in his eyes. We must also try to collect some elixirs and spiritual objects that can increase the probability of dan forming, and try to succeed in one fell swoop. Breaking through from the foundation building stage to the dan forming stage is like a natural chasm, and the difficulty is much higher than breaking through the foundation building stage. If you want to break through successfully, you must prepare more corresponding elixirs and spiritual objects, and he also hopes to get them from the light balls. The 2 holy infant fruit plants will mature in a few years. I wonder if they can produce the 5th grade holy infant pill. He couldn't help but think in his heart. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.